Chapter 751. Yes, yes. Dowdu nodded heavily. When Little Black grows up, it can protect us. With Little Black around, no one will dare to bully us. Zhao Yun glanced at Little Black. When Little Black grew up to be a big dog like Big Gray, no one would dare to go near it. When that time came, it would be perfect for her to guard the door. It would bite whoever dared to cause trouble and see if anyone dared to come. Zhao Yun smiled and said to Little Black, "Little Black, I'll make something delicious for you later. You have to eat more and grow up faster, okay?" Woof woof, Little Black barked twice and wagged its little tail as a response. Zhao Yun patted Little Black's head. "Good boy." Then Zhao Yun turned and went into the kitchen to prepare something for Little Black to eat. In the afternoon, Zhao Yun tidied up the vegetable garden. During this period of time when she was not at home, many wild vegetables grew in the garden. She had to pull them out and fertilize them while she was at it. In addition, there were many places in the house that were covered in dust. She had to wipe and wash them to make the house a little cleaner. When Zhao Yun returned to the house at 3 or 4 in the afternoon, Mu Lianfeng was already awake. When he saw Zhao Yun, Mu Lianfeng was a little emotional and grabbed Zhao Yun's hand. "Yun, I thought I would never see you again." Mu Lianfeng's voice was a little hoarse and filled with vicissitudes. Zhao Yun smiled and said, "How is that possible? You said that you would accompany me for a lifetime. Don't tell me you would go back on your words so easily?" "Of course not. Just, I thought I would never see you again." He knew that he was poisoned. Although Zhao Yun had brought back the antidote and removed the poison, he did not wake up. However, he was conscious and knew everything that had happened. How lucky was he to have met a woman like Zhao Yun? Otherwise he would have lost his life. "All right, have a good rest. Don't say such sad words. Isn't everything fine now?" Zhao Yun's mouth curled up as she smiled at Mu Lianfeng. At the thought that this man might disappear from her life, Zhao Yun felt very uncomfortable, and there was a very uncomfortable feeling in her chest. "Thank you, Yun. You've saved me twice. This is the second time," Mu Lianfeng said again. He didn't know if this was God's arrangement. Zhao Yun's appearance was to save him. "Yes, I've saved you twice, so you should repay me. In the future you will stay by my side. You are not allowed to go anywhere. You will do whatever I tell you to do. After all, your life is mine." Zhao Yun joked. Mu Lianfeng took it seriously. "I know, Yun. In the future, even if you want to drive me away, I will not leave. I want to be with you forever." Mu Lianfeng held Zhao Yun's hand tightly. He was afraid that Zhao Yun would leave him. This feeling of surviving after death made him even more aware of who he cared about and cherished. In this life, to him, no one was more precious than Zhao Yun and Dowdu. He would stay by the mother and daughter's side forever. "By the way, Yun, where is Dowdu?" Zhao Yun asked. "Dowdu went out to play. Don't worry about him." "That's good." Mu Lianfeng breathed a sigh of relief. "Yes, it's all over now. He will be fine in the village." Chapter 752. The incident this time was a lesson. There were too many people eyeing them from behind. Since they attacked him and Dowdu, there would be a second time. Mu Lianfeng really didn't want Dowdu to be in any danger again. Those people. It was fine if they attacked him, but he didn't want them to touch Dowdu and Zhao Yun. If he stayed by Dowdu and Zhao Yun's side, he would inevitably be a burden to them. Although he was worried, there was nothing he could do. When he returned, he must investigate clearly. He would never let Dowdu and Zhao Yun be in any danger again. In the afternoon, when Mulan heard that Zhao Yun was back, she also came over to greet her. During this period of time, she was worried sick because she couldn't figure out what happened to Zhao Yun that made her leave for such a long time. "Yun, you're finally back." Zhao Yun smiled. "I've made you worry, sister-in-law Mulan. It's good that you're back. It's good that you're back. Sai, I didn't even have someone to talk to while you were away. Now that you're back, I have someone to talk to." Haha, Zhao Yun laughed heartily. During the period of time when she was away, she missed Mulan very much. When Mulan came over, she brought some vegetables over, afraid that Zhao Yun didn't have anything to eat. After the two of them chatted for a while, Mulan was ready to go back, and she called Zhao Yun to come with her. "Yun, Dowdu is at my house now. He and my third son have caught a lot of lobsters to play with. Do you want to go and have a look?" The weather was getting warmer and there were more fish and lobsters in the river. It was still okay now, but after a period of time when the weather was warmer, there would be more fish and lobsters. However, the villagers were busy with other things, so they didn't care too much about these things. Therefore, he didn't spend much time on salvaging them. When the children had nothing to do, they would go to the river to catch some fish and prawns from time to time. When Zhao Yuner heard Mulan mention lobsters, she immediately became interested. She said to Mulan, "Okay, I'll go too." Yeah. The two of them went to Mulan's house together. Daodu, Zhao Tianfu and Mulan's children were all gathered around the lobster. 2 lobsters that had been caught were placed on the ground, crawling around. The children stared at the lobsters and giggled. They all looked very happy. When Zhao Yuner came over, she also walked over to take a look. The lobster on the ground was not particularly big, so it should have been born not long ago. However, this kind of medium-sized lobster was very delicious. Add some ginger, chili oil, salt, soy sauce, vinegar and cooking wine and stir-fry them together. The taste would definitely be excellent. Zhao Yuner noticed that there were a lot of lobsters in the wooden barrel. A small half-barrel could be stir-fried for several large plates. In addition to the lobsters, Zhao Yuner also noticed that there were a few small snails in the wooden barrel. The snails were caught by the children to be used as bait to catch the lobsters, because the string at the side was tied with the meat of the snails. These were all good things. If the snails were stir-fried, the taste would also be first-rate. Many wild things in the countryside were treasures to the people of the 21st century. It was just that the people of this era didn't take them seriously. "Mother, you're here." Daodu saw Zhao Yuner coming over and smiled at Zhao Yuner. Chapter 753. Yes. Mother, Daodu, little uncle and brother Sen are just fishing for fun. Daodu explained. Yes, we're just fishing for fun. It's fine. You guys have fun. Mother, I thought you would blame Daodu, saying that Daodu is playing with water? Daodu lowered his head and said softly. Zhao Yuner had warned Daodu not to touch water, and Daodu remembered it in his heart. But sometimes children are too playful and can't control themselves when they encounter something fun. Be careful when you play or you'll be too careless. Don't go to deep water. Zhao Yuner continued to remind them. Yes, mother? Yes, second sister. Seeing that the children were so well behaved and sensible, Zhao Yuner was also relieved. Fortunately, there was only one big river in the village and the children wouldn't go there to play. The other rivers were all small and not a hindrance. The water in the small pond was not even half as deep as an adult's leg. Even if they really fell in, it would be difficult for them to drown. When you go back, catch more. I'll cook more for you, Zhao Yuner said with a smile. The children suddenly became excited. Mother, is lobster edible? Zhao Yuner nodded. Of course it's edible. Mother, I thought it wasn't edible, Daodu said softly. How can that be? It's all delicious food. You'll know when I cook it for you. Yes. The children were full of anticipation, because who would have thought that the things they caught to play with were edible? Even Mulan couldn't help but ask, what's the matter? Is this lobster really edible? We villagers catch it for children to play with. No one has ever eaten it. This thing likes to drill in the mud. Feels dirty? Zhao Yuner chuckled. People in this era really couldn't recognize good things. In the 21st century, eating crayfish with beer was extremely comfortable. Especially in the summer when friends gathered, they liked to order this kind of thing. The group of people ate and drank at the same time. It was very enjoyable. Of course. Sister-in-law Mulan, can you clean up the kitchen later? I'll make some for you to try. I'll bring the rest back to eat. Mulan responded with a smile. After being teased by Zhao Yuner, he was looking forward to what the lobster would taste like and how delicious it would be. Madame Chi excreted in the latrine, and her chrysanthemum hurt terribly. He didn't know what kind of bad luck he had to have hemorrhoids growing on his chrysanthemum. Usually it was fine, but when it came to diarrhea, it was extremely uncomfortable. This was because once he took a dump for a long time, his hemorrhoids would start to hurt. Unfortunately, there was nothing she could do about it. After all, she couldn't just cut it off. Let's not talk about whether or not it could be cut off. Even if it could be cut off, they would still need to find a doctor. How could a woman's buttocks be casually shown to others? After coming out of the latrine, Madame Chi clamped her chrysanthemum tightly. This way the hemorrhoids would feel better. After coming out, she heard Zhao Yuner and Mulan say that the lobster was edible and very delicious. She immediately became greedy and excited. Zhao Yuner, you said that this lobster is edible. Is it really edible? Madame Chi blinked and asked. Zhao Yuner couldn't be bothered with Madame Chi when she saw her like this. Mulan replied, if Yuner says it's edible, then it's definitely edible. Chapter 754. Zhao Yuner was a little speechless. She felt a little disgusted when she saw Madame Chi's greedy look. Why did this woman want to eat everything? It was as if she couldn't wait to get a share of all the good stuff. Why would she give it to you? She doesn't even have enough for her own family. Zhao Yun retorted without giving her any face. Madame Qi looked at Zhao Yun a little angrily. My second sister-in-law hasn't said anything yet. What are you talking about? I just can't stand seeing such a shameless person. It's fine if someone gives it to you, but this is the first time I've seen someone take the initiative to ask for it. Even children aren't like this. You're already an adult, yet you still think that you're young and don't know any better? Zhao Yun said sarcastically. However, a shameless person like Madame Qi might not have any reaction to it. Madame Qi's face reddened for a moment. Zhao Yun, what nonsense are you talking about? What's wrong with me eating it? Don't tell me that I shouldn't eat it. I went to help my chow, fish for lobsters, so I have a share of this lobster too. Zhao Yun had never seen such a shameless woman. Even if she was greedy for food, she shouldn't be to this extent, right? Madame Qi sneered and said, Sister-in-law, since you say so, then how about this? How about you take all the lobsters that your chow caught and fry them yourself? We don't care for it. When Zhao Yun said this, Madame Qi suddenly didn't know how to refute. First of all, if she really gave the lobsters to her, she wouldn't know how to cook them. Second, frying lobsters would take a lot of oil and salt, right? She couldn't bear to do that. Why are you like this? My chow helped you catch some lobsters. Can't you cook them together and let me have a taste later? You're so stingy. Second sister-in-law, tell me about it. What's wrong with your sister-in-law eating some of your food? Are we still a family? Mulan felt sorry for Madame Qi. These days Madame Qi's life was not good. Zhu Dainiu was not willing to let Madame Qi eat anything delicious at home. For a moment, her heart softened. Actually, it was not impossible to let her sister-in-law have a taste, so she pushed Zhao Yuner and said, Yuner, when it's done, let my sister-in-law have a taste. It's good to try it. I don't think anyone in the village has ever tasted it. Before Zhao Yuner could nod, she heard Zhu Qiaoer scream. Madame Qi hurriedly ran over and asked Zhu Qiaoer, Qiaoer, what's wrong? Are you okay? Zhu Dainiu, who was in the house, heard the noise and ran out. He was worried about Zhu Qiaoer. Zhu Qiaoer raised her hand and cried to Madame Qi and Zhu Dainiu, Father, Mother, my hand was bitten by a lobster. Zhu Dainiu and Madame Qi looked and saw that Zhu Qiaoer's finger was clamped by the lobster's large clamp. It was probably very painful, so Zhu Qiaoer cried. When Zhu Dainiu saw it, he hurriedly pulled the lobster off Zhu Qiaoer's finger and comforted her. Qiaoer, don't be afraid. Qiaoer, don't be afraid. Woo, Father, it hurts. The lobster was pulled off, but unfortunately the large clamp still cut Zhu Qiaoer's finger. At this moment there was a lot of blood. What, Dainiu, look at you. Why are you so strong? Why are you so strong? You cut Qiaoer's hand. Madame Qi hurriedly scolded. Because of the cut on her finger, Zhu Qiaoer cried even louder. Qiaoer, be good. Don't cry. Mother will find a piece of cloth and wrap it for you. Chapter 755. When Zhao Yuner and Mulan heard the situation, they hurried over to take a look, worried that something had really happened to Zhu Qiaoer. When they went over, they saw that the clasp on Zhu Qiaoer's hand was not small. They sighed slightly. This child was really pitiful. Speaking of which, it was Zhu Dainiu's method that was wrong. How could she tear it off so forcefully? It was easy to hurt her hand this way. If she had pried open the lobster's clasp, it wouldn't have been a big deal. After Madame Qi rushed out of the house, she hurriedly bandaged Zhu Qiaoer's hand with a white cloth, not forgetting to scold Zhu Qiaoer. You wretched girl, didn't I tell you not to play? Look, now you've got your hand clamped. Sigh, you deserve it. Although she said that Qiaoer was still her child, and Madame Qi's heart still ached for her. Zhu Dainiu glared at Madame Qi unhappily. You're really good at hindsight. What's the point of saying this now? Qiaoer's hand was clamped. I haven't seen you all day and I don't know where you went. If you were by Qiaoer's side just now, would Qiaoer's hand have been clamped? Zhu Dainiu scolded very fiercely. He threw a few words right in his face. Madame Qi only felt wronged. She pursed her lips and said to Zhu Dainiu, Dainiu, I just went to the latrine to poop. There are so many things going on at home. Who would keep an eye on this wretched girl for no reason? Zhu Dainiu glared at Madame Qi. You're still talking. Poop, poop, you only know how to poop all day. Let's see if you'll get hemorrhoids later. When Zhu Dainiu said that, Madame Qi pursed her lips. Dainiu, how did you know that I have hemorrhoids? Zhao Yuner heard from the side and couldn't help but burst out laughing. This Madame Qi was really a freaking weirdo. But this woman, wasn't she gluttonous? She would let her eat more lobsters later. She had to put the chili pepper inside. The more she ate, the more her hemorrhoids would hurt. If he let her suffer a little, she probably wouldn't ask for food anymore. There was a trace of sympathy in Mulan's eyes. This hemorrhoid was very serious. She didn't know how her sister-in-law got hemorrhoid when she was fine. She was so pitiful. Whenever he looked back, his chrysanthemum would hurt from time to time. Thinking about it, it was really quite painful. Mrs. Zhu also heard this. She gloated and said, "If you have hemorrhoids, it's God's punishment. Since this woman is so unfilial, we should treat her hemorrhoids." Hearing Mrs. Zhu's words, Madame Qi glared at Mrs. Zhu angrily. "You old hag, what are you talking about? Who deserved it? Tell me clearly." Mrs. Zhu put her hands on her hips and said, "What's wrong with you? He was lazy every day, so he had a lot of feces and urine. Who knew how many times he had gone to the toilet from morning till night? How could he not have hemorrhoids? My Dania let you eat too much good food. Look, most people have hemorrhoids." Madame Qi ground her teeth at Mrs. Zhu's scolding. This old hag, how dare she say that about her? Good job. If she didn't teach her a lesson, her surname wouldn't be Qi today. Just as she was about to roll up her sleeves and rush up to teach Mrs. Zhu a lesson, Zhu Dania pushed her back and she fell to the ground. Chapter 756. After the previous incident, Zhu Daniu was no longer as protective of Madame Qi as before. He suddenly understood that it was useless to dote on women. It was more practical to teach them a lesson. After teaching them a lesson, they wouldn't even dare to fart. During this period of time, Madame Zhu had also become cocky. Her son used to protect his wife and she was bullied. Now that her son no longer protected his wife, she dared to go against Madame Qi. After Zhu Dania said that, Madame Zhu hurriedly shouted from behind, "That's right, eldest son's wife. You should eat less in the future and give the delicious food to the elders, lest you run to the latrine pit every day." Zhu Dania nodded. "Yes, if I find you eating again, I'll break your legs." Madame Qi pursed her lips and said with a bitter face, "Daniu, I haven't eaten much in the past few days. I'm eating less than before. If I don't eat, our son won't have any milk to drink. If you don't let me eat, our son has to eat." Madame Zhu glared at Madame Qi. "You only care about your son. You're always using the excuse that your son doesn't have any milk. If he doesn't have enough milk, can't you mix in some rice soup? Feed him more rice soup and he won't be hungry." Madame Zhu's words cut off Madame Qi's path of retreat. Madame Qi could only grit her teeth in hatred. This damned old woman. She would find a way to torture her later. That old bastard was actually acting like this. This was too much. Zhu Daniu also said coldly to Madame Qi, "Did you hear that? If you do as mother said, eat less. If you don't have enough milk, use rice soup." Madame Qi met Zhu Daniu's frightening gaze and could only nod. However, she cursed Madame Zhu a dozen times in her heart. Zhao Yun listened from the side and shook her head. Uncultured. How scary. How could rice soup compare to milk? Rice soup didn't have much nutrition. She wasn't afraid that the child would get sick from eating too much. Mulan stepped forward and said, "All right, eldest brother, sister-in-law, mother, stop quarreling. We don't even know if Qiao Er's hand is all right." Mulan's words touched old Madame Zhu's eyebrows again. "You dead woman, you still have the nerve to say that. Bringing these riffraff to our courtyard all day long. If it weren't for them, would Qiao Er's hand have been bitten by a lobster? What kind of lousy thing is this? Bring it home." As Mrs. Zhu spoke, she glanced at Zhao Yuner and Daodu. It was obvious that the person Mrs. Zhu was talking about was Zhao Yuner. Mulan sighed helplessly. "Mother, what are you talking about? The children are here to play with their sons. Doesn't my Saner often go to other houses to play? Besides, who knows if Qiao would be accidentally caught? You're the only one with a lot of excuses." Mrs. Zhu snorted softly. "I'm an old person and need some peace and quiet. Bringing these people home every day is so noisy that my ears hurt." Mulan's mouth twitched. Her mother-in-law was really hard to reason with. There was no use in arguing with Mrs. Zhu. She had to build a house of her own when she got back. It would be quieter. Zhao Yuner couldn't stand it any longer. She sneered, "Such a big courtyard doesn't belong to your family. What does bringing people home have to do with you? You like peace and quiet. Aren't you afraid that you'll disturb yourself with your loud voice?" Mrs. Zhu's face paled. She turned to Zhao Yuner and scolded, "You be asterisk teeth, how dare you meddle in my family's affairs? Hurry up and get lost. Don't get in my way." Chapter 757. You. Mrs. Zhu was so angry that she took a few deep breaths. Zhu Daniu tugged at Mrs. Zhu. "That's enough, Mom. What's wrong with a fellow villager coming over to our house to play? Don't say any more. Zhu Dainyu really chased Zhao Yun'er away for the sake of his reputation. Later on, Zhao Yun'er would probably say that their family was stingy and that they didn't even let her come over. Who would come to their house to visit in the future? Men were most particular about their reputation. Zhu Dainyu still valued this point very much. After Zhu Dainyu spoke, Mrs. Zhu finally shut her mouth. Zhao Yun'er was too lazy to be long-winded with Mrs. Zhu. She said to Mulan, "Mulan, let's go and fry the lobsters." "Okay." Mulan nodded. Before frying the lobsters they had to wash them first. Under Zhao Yun'er's instructions the children also got busy. In order to prevent the lobsters from catching the children again, Zhao Yun'er first broke off one of the teeth on the lobster's big clamp. This way they wouldn't be able to catch the children. There were more stains on the lobsters, so they had to be washed properly before eating. First, she took out a basin of water and placed the lobsters in it. Then she took out a brush. She brushed the shell, especially the lobster's tail. There was a lot of dirt accumulated on it. She also pulled out a black stem from the tail. After carefully brushing it, she changed the basin of water and continued to brush it. The children imitated Zhao Yun'er's actions and were very busy. They were very interested in this. After busying for about 20 minutes, the lobsters were finally cleaned. They were clean. "Yun'er, can we fry them now?" Mulan asked. "Yes, we can." Zhao Yun'er picked up the lobsters and rinsed them with water. "Then I'll go and start the fire. Yun'er, you fry them." "All right." Zhao Yun'er replied with a smile. While Mulan was starting the fire, Zhao Yun'er had already cut the ginger and garlic. She placed them aside and waited for the pot to heat up. Zhao Yun'er poured a few spoonfuls of rapeseed oil into the pot. Then she poured the ginger, garlic and chili pepper into the pot. After stir-frying for a while, she put the lobster into the pot. The smell of chili peppers was very pungent. However, he soon caught a whiff of a peculiar aroma, which was different from the usual aroma of meat. Coupled with the spicy smell, they couldn't help but swallow their saliva when they smelled it. Their appetite was aroused. Madame Chi came over and watched from the side to see how Zhao Yun'er did it. They didn't expect that the food that everyone didn't want to eat could become so delicious after being cooked by Zhao Yun'er. Madame Chi couldn't wait for the lobster to come out of the pot so that she could have a taste of it. Zhao Yun'er stir-fried the lobsters in the pot. After a while, the shells of the lobsters turned red and looked very flirtatious. Zhao Yun'er stir-fried for 10 minutes. When she saw that it was about time, she began to fill the plates. There were quite a lot of lobsters in the pot. She filled 3 big bowls with them. Mulan sniffed. When she saw the colorful lobsters, she couldn't help but swallow her saliva. "Yun'er, the lobsters you made are so fragrant. I can't help but want to eat it while sitting by the fire. I wonder how it tastes. Is it better than meat?" Zhao Yun'er smiled. "Sister-in-law Mulan, come over and try it. You'll know." Yes. Mulan nodded. Just as she was about to eat one, Madame Chi squeezed over and said with a smile, I'll try it first. The smell just now really made me want to die." Chapter 758. Mulan wasn't in a hurry to eat, so she let Madame Chi eat first. "Sister-in-law, have a taste." "Okay." Madame Chi didn't use chopsticks. She picked up a lobster with her hands and started to bite. Zhao Yun'er looked at Madame Chi with some disgust. It wasn't that Madame Chi's way of eating was wrong. After all, when she was in the 21st century, she used to eat crayfish with her hands. But Madame Chi's hands, she remembered that she hadn't washed her hands after coming back from the latrine. She didn't know how she was able to grab food with her filthy hands and eat it. This was the first time she saw such an unhygienic woman. It was also the first time someone made Zhao Yun'er feel nauseous. Madame Chi ate a little hurriedly so she couldn't help but choke. Cough cough. Madame Chi coughed. Although the lobster was a little spicy, it was indeed very tasty. Especially the meat on the tail, it tasted very fresh and delicious. "Zhao Yun'er, your lobster is really delicious. I've never eaten anything so delicious. It's better than pork." Madame Chi ate. She praised again and again. Madame Chi wasn't exaggerating, and Zhao Yun'er's lobster was indeed the best she had ever eaten. She had eaten meat before, but her family's culinary skills were just so. How could they be as good as Zhao Yun'er's? The spicy taste made her want to continue eating, but she always felt that she couldn't have enough. After Madame Chi finished one, she grabbed another one with her dirty hands and continued to eat. Zhao Yun'er glanced at the bowl of lobster that Madame Chi had grabbed and didn't want to continue eating. "Take this bowl of lobster. It's all for you," Zhao Yun'er said and stuffed the lobster into Madame Chi's hands. Madame Chi didn't expect Zhao Yun'er to be so straightforward. She smiled and replied, Hee hee Zhao Yun, I didn't expect you to be so generous. Zhao Yun'er's mouth twitched. How could she tell that she was generous? Didn't he see the disdain in her eyes? Then I'll leave first. Madame Chi happily carried the lobster out of the house. She had to eat the lobster secretly. Otherwise she would be nagged by that damned old woman again. In addition, Zhu Dainyu probably wouldn't let her eat it. When Zhu Qiaoer saw Mulan coming out, she hurriedly rushed over. Mother, I want to eat too. Looking at her eldest daughter, Madame Chi said unhappily, Eat, 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 you only know how to eat. This is for mother. Go ask your second aunt for it. I'll definitely give it to you. After being reprimanded by Madame Chi, Zhu Qiaoer curled her lips and obediently followed Madame Chi's instructions to ask Mulan for lobsters. Hee now we can have a good meal. Madame Chi hid in the corner and began to eat. Such a big plate could satisfy her cravings. In the kitchen, Mulan sighed. Yun, my sister-in-law is like this, don't mind her. Fortunately, this lobster isn't too expensive. If we want to eat it, we can get more back later. Zhao Yun nodded. She naturally wouldn't argue with Madame Chi. She snorted softly and said, she still eats like this when she has hemorrhoids. She's not afraid of getting heaty after eating a plate of lobster. She'll be fine after the hemorrhoids ache. Mulan was amused by Zhao Yun. Haha, I knew it. Yun, how can you bear to let my sister-in-law eat so much? Chapter 759. Mulan nodded. She picked up a lobster and put it into her mouth. After tasting it, she choked twice from the spiciness but still ate happily. Yuner, it's so spicy but it's so delicious. Isn't it better to drink with wine? My Daigneau will also have something to eat with wine tonight. Yes, it's the best to eat with wine. There's a lot of lobster, so eat as much as you want. You can continue to fry it. Yes. Zhao Yuner asked Mulan to keep a plate of lobsters, and took the other plate of lobsters out for the children to eat. The children each took a few lobsters and the whole plate of lobsters was finished. When the children ate, they immediately retracted their tongues from the spiciness, but still continued to eat happily. Even if it's delicious, you can't eat too much or you'll get heaty. Zhao Yuner exhorted. The adults were fine, but the children's intestines were more fragile, and if they didn't eat well, they would definitely get sick. Zhao Yuner didn't want to eat a little lobster and hurt the children's stomachs. Yes, mother. Dao said and licked his tongue fondly, sucking the soup off his fingers. Zhao Qianfu did the same and licked the corner of his mouth, looking like he still wanted to eat. Zhao Yuner couldn't help but shake her head. It seemed that the children were poisoned by the lobsters again, and they would be hungry for more in the future. Let's go back. If you like it, we can continue to eat at night. Yes. Daodu and Zhao Qianfu nodded heavily, and couldn't wait for Zhao Yuner to go back and fry the lobsters immediately so that they could continue to eat. After returning to their own courtyard, Mu Lianfeng leaned on the bed and looked outside the door. Father, you're awake? Are you feeling better? Daodu came over and asked Mu Lianfeng softly. When Mu Lianfeng met his son's concerned eyes, a warm feeling rose in his heart. He stroked Daodu's head and said, Daddy is fine. Father, it's good that you're all right. Mother and Daodu still need you. Daddy will always be by your side. Don't worry. Mu Lianfeng's lips curled into a gentle smile. Daodu smiled sweetly at Mu Lianfeng. Mu Lianfeng felt his heart soften. It felt good to have a wife, a son, and a home. Father, Daodu and Mother are cooking. You can eat when you wake up later. Daodu called out. Okay. Mu Lianfeng replied with a smile. With that, Daodu left the house and followed Zhao Yuner to the kitchen. In the evening they had an early dinner and lay on the bed to rest. The next morning, Zhao Yuner woke up early and began to prepare for the breakfast stall. Zhao Yuner hadn't been to Yang City for a while, and it felt good to be busy again. This time Yili was still there, but he looked a lot thinner. Yili was a little excited when he saw Zhao Yuner coming back. Are you okay? Yili asked, his voice a little hoarse. I'm fine. What's wrong? Zhao Yuner smiled and replied. Chapter 760. Zhao Yuner looked deeply at Yili. This guy was actually concerned about her? Haha, interesting. I'm fine. I just went out to settle some matters, Zhao Yuner replied. That's good. Yili smiled slightly. Seeing that Zhao Yuner was fine, he was relieved. Then he went to sit down on a stool. But he couldn't take his eyes off Zhao Yuner. Zhao Pinger was serving the guests. When she saw Yili looking at Zhao Yuner with infatuation, she was a little angry. Seriously? Why were all men so attracted to Zhao Yuner when they saw her? If this was a typical ugly man, she would have let it go. The problem was that this man looked especially handsome and was dressed very well. Even if he stood next to the crown prince, they would be on par. Although she already had Qin Yuan and didn't care about other men, she still couldn't accept that Zhao Yun'er was being favored by a man. So she muttered to Yi Li, "Why are you looking at her? Don't tell me you still want to be with her? Let me tell you. She already has a child and it's already 3 years old. Don't even think about it." Yi Li glanced at Zhao Ping'er and replied very calmly, "I know that. So what?" Zhao Ping'er glared angrily at Yi Li and said, "So what? Do you even have any shame? Don't tell me you want a woman who already has a child?" Yi Li smirked and said, "That's my business. Miss, you're worrying too much." Zhao Ping'er felt that Yi Li must have gone crazy. Did this guy even know what he was saying? He actually wanted a used shoe like Zhao Yun'er. He must have a hole in his head. "I kindly reminded you, but you're still like this. My kindness really doesn't pay off. Just wait to be deceived by her. You'll be crying in the future." Zhao Ping'er snorted angrily. When Zhao Yun'er heard Zhao Ping'er's words, the corners of her mouth couldn't help but twitch. This Zhao Ping'er really seized the opportunity to slander her. She actually ran over to Yi Li to say such words. She glared at Zhao Ping'er unhappily. "Sister Ping'er, you'd better watch your mouth when you're outside. Don't talk nonsense or I won't forgive you." Zhao Ping'er also got angry. "What's wrong? Could it be that what I said was wrong? What I said was the truth. Not only do you have a son but you also have the heir. Seriously, how can there be a woman like you? You're simply thinking about what's in the pot after eating what's in the bowl, and still looking forward to what's in the vegetable field outside. From what I see, you just want all the men to like you. I'm sure you didn't tell Yi Li about your situation. Look at you, do you still think that he'll like you?" After Zhao Ping'er finished speaking, Zhao Yun'er's face darkened. "You must be crazy." Zhao Yun'er couldn't help but scold her. Why did she have to tell others about her situation? Who was the one who spread her information everywhere? What did she mean by wanting all the men to like her? Zhao Ping'er was an idiot. She was probably the only one who treasured men so much. She simply couldn't live without a man. You actually said that I'm crazy. Zhao Yun'er, I'm not done with you." Zhao Ping'er rolled up her sleeves angrily and prepared to rush over. Zhao Yun'er frowned in disgust. This woman was most likely crazy. Chapter 761. Yi Li's chest was so thick that when Zhao Ping'er bumped into him, her head was knocked hard on the head. It hurt a lot. "Try it if you dare." Yi Li's cold voice traveled into Zhao Ping'er's ears. Zhao Ping'er trembled in fear and looked at Yi Li pitifully. "I'm just reminding you out of kindness. You're still helping Zhao Yun. If the crown prince finds out that you're flirting with another man, let's see what you'll do." Zhao Ping'er first said to Yi Li, then looked at Zhao Yun'er. After Zhao Ping'er finished speaking, she was afraid of Yi Li, so she turned around and continued wiping the table with a rag. Zhao Yun'er was a little speechless. Flirting? She didn't do anything, so what was she talking about? Liang Jinxiao sighed and walked up to Zhao Yun'er. He said to Zhao Yun'er, "Yun'er, don't be calculative with Ping'er. That's just how she is." Zhao Yun'er couldn't be bothered to argue with a retard. There were many people here and she was busy with business. She looked up at Yi Li and saw that his face was calm. He didn't seem surprised at all. It seemed like this guy knew in advance. Zhao Yun'er didn't have time to think. She turned around and went to greet the guests. The moment Zhao Yun'er turned around, Yi Li's eyes revealed a trace of disappointment. Around 8 in the morning, while everyone was busy, a family from Qin Yuan came over. There was a man behind them looking left and right like a fool. However, he was indeed a fool. This person was Qin Yuan's foolish elder brother, Qin Xuan. The Qin Yuan family walked towards Zhao Yun'er's stall. When the Qin couple saw the booming business at Zhao Yun'er's stall, they couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. With such a good business, how much money could they make in a day? Mu Chunfeng walked over and said with a smile, "In-law, your business is doing well." Liang Jinxiao smiled and replied, "Yeah, it's pretty good." "In-law, why are you here? Aren't we going to arrange Ping'er's wedding?" "I came to Yang City to buy some things. I have to send some betrothal gifts to your family later." When Liang Jinxiao heard this, she nodded and replied, "I see. Sorry for making you worry about my in-law. You don't have to send a lot of things. Just do whatever you want." Mu Chunfeng waved his hand. "How can we do that? We still have to prepare some things. After all, Ping'er is my Yuaner's legal wife. It's not a casual marriage." "Haha, that's true. Both our families will have to make more preparations for this period of time. It'll be fine after the two children get married. Yeah. As Liang Jinxiao spoke, he called out to the Qin family, In-law, don't just stand there. Quickly find a seat and eat something. You haven't eaten breakfast yet, right? Mu Chunfang smiled shyly. There are so many people. It's not good. It's too much trouble. It's okay, we're not afraid of trouble, Liang Jinxiao hurriedly said. However, when he looked at the seats, he realized that all the seats were full. There was no place to sit at all. In-law, we have guests now. Why don't you wait for a while? You can just sit and wait for a while. Liang Jinxiao seemed a little apologetic and embarrassed. Chapter 762. Just as he was feeling conflicted, Zhao Ping saw Qin Yuan's family. She excitedly said to Qin Yuan, Big brother Yuan, you're here? While Zhao Ping shouted excitedly, her eyes were still shining when she looked at Qin Yuan. When Qin Yuan saw Zhao Ping's ugly face, he could not help but frown. How could there be such an ugly woman in this world? Zhao Ping's voice was very loud. When she shouted, the surrounding people all looked towards Qin Yuan. Then they laughed and discussed in low voices. When Qin Yuan heard these people's words, his ears turned red. He felt very embarrassed. Big brother Yuan, Uncle Andy, why are you all in a daze? Quickly come over. Tell me what you want to eat. I'll go get it for you. After Zhao Ping finished speaking, she came over and pulled Qin Yuan into the stall. There's no seat here. As Qin Yuan spoke, he broke free from Zhao Ping's hand. There is, Big brother Yuan. If you come over, I'll make them leave. As she said that, Zhao Ping urged the women who had been eating at the stall for a long time. Are you all done eating? If you're done, quickly give up your seat. Previously, when Qin Yuan did not come over, she could still ignore them. Now that Qin Yuan did not have a seat, of course, she had to chase them away. Zhao Ping also knew why these women were dawdling. It was because Yili was also sitting at the table. These women wanted to hang around in front of Yili. When Zhao Ping said that, the women at the stall were a little unconvinced. Why should we leave? Didn't we pay to buy food? We haven't even finished eating and she's chasing us away? That's right. What kind of business is this? She even urges us to eat. Ugly people are always mischievous. Looking at her solicitous manner makes me feel disgusted. The women on the table were not to be trifled with. One after another they began to talk. Zhao Ping was angry. She put her hands on her hips and said to the women, This is my family's stall. If I tell you to leave, you have to leave. What can you do if we don't do business with you? Also, don't think that I don't know a few shameless women who only know how to hang around good-looking men. They don't even look at themselves. Even if you sit there every day, they won't take a second look at you. The women were angered by Zhao Ping. How could there be such a disgusting woman? She even dared to talk about them. She didn't even know what she looked like. How could she have the nerve to talk about others? Don't you have any self-awareness? Bitch. Do you think we're easy to bully? That's right, beat her to death. I'll tear her mouth apart if she keeps talking. With that, the women were ready to rush up and teach Zhao Ping a lesson. In the end, they were stopped by Zhao Yuner. Zhao Yuner said to the women, Sisters, I'm really sorry. We're in the wrong today. Today's breakfast will be on the house. Don't be angry and don't be calculative, okay? Zhao Yuner's attitude was much better than Zhao Ping's. In addition, Zhao Yuner also said that it would be on the house, so they saved a lot of money. Forget it, for the sake of money. Hence, the women snorted softly and said to Zhao Ping, What the hell? After the women left, Zhao Ping still looked angry as if she wanted to fight with them. Chapter 763. Zhao Ping retorted somewhat indignantly, It's those B***'s fault. They clearly only ordered so little food, yet they ate for so long. Could it be that the other customers aren't going to sit? Heng Zhao Yuner laughed coldly. This idiot. Even if that was the case, they couldn't chase people away so brazenly. If this got out, it would affect their stall's reputation. This was not how business was done. Yuner, forget it. It's already like this. It's useless to talk about Ping. Let's continue to entertain the customers. Liang Jinxiao persuaded, afraid that Zhao Yuner would be angry. Zhao Yuner curled her lips. She couldn't be bothered to say anything more to Zhao Ping. She wouldn't understand reasoning with this idiot either. Yili frowned slightly. He looked at Zhao Yuner's busy back view and sighed. Did he come over to be a hindrance? If it weren't for him, he naturally wouldn't attract the attention of those women, and there wouldn't be so much trouble. Unfortunately, thinking about it was just thinking. He still couldn't bear to not come. If he didn't come, he wouldn't be able to see Zhao Yun. Now, he felt that it would be fine as long as he took one more look at this woman. He didn't have so many thoughts. Big brother Yuan, uncle, auntie, there are seats now. Quickly sit down. Zhao Ping wiped the table and greeted Qin Shi's family. Mu Chunfang responded with a chuckle. Smelling the smell of the breakfast at Zhao Yun's stall, he had long felt hungry and craved for food. Ping is really sensible. Mu Chunfang praised. Zhao Ping lowered her head shyly. She was still very happy to be praised by her mother-in-law. Auntie, quickly sit down. Tell me what you want to eat. I'll go get it for you. Zhao Ping also said with a smile. Mu Chunfang seemed a little embarrassed. How could he have the nerve to say that he wanted to eat a lot? Anything, Ping girl. Just take whatever you like. Zhao Ping rolled her eyes. Auntie, I'll bring a little bit of everything for you to try. Mu Chunfang was happy to see this, so he nodded with a smile. Okay, Ping girl, you can go. Do whatever you want. Zhao Ping nodded. Alright, I'll go get it now. Yeah. Zhao Ping was afraid that Qin Shi's family would not be able to eat well, so she took out all the good food from the stall. He directly placed it in front of Qin Shi's family and said to them, "These are the dishes that we ordered a lot of. Uncle, auntie, and big brother Yuan, you all have a taste. You mustn't stand on ceremony." Got it, Ping you're really sensible. And diligent. In the future, it'll be our family's blessing to marry you. Zhao Ping was even happier when she heard Mu Chunfang's praise. When I marry over in the future, that's what I should do. Of course, I have to be filial to my elders, Zhao Ping said shyly. Ha, good. Mu Chunfang was even more satisfied with Zhao Ping. Although Zhao Ping was a little ugly, she was diligent and sensible. Also, her family background was good. If they really got married, their family could often come to Zhao Yun's stall to eat and drink. Big brother Yuan, come eat. Zhao Ping was even more attentive towards Qin Yuan. I'll feed you, Qin Yuan frowned in disgust. I can eat by myself. I don't need you to feed me. Chapter 764. Big brother Yuan, let me feed you instead, Zhao Ping said coquettishly. Her actions were coy and almost made Qin Yuan throw up. If it was a pretty woman acting coquettishly, it would still be understandable. But Zhao Ping was such an ugly woman. Qin Yuan clutched his chest and felt nauseous. In front of so many people, Qin Yuan still had to endure it. It was so painful. He obviously felt disgusted in his heart, but he had to hide it. Qin Yuan could not express the bitterness in his heart. Yuan, that last Ping is so diligent in feeding you. If she tells you to eat, just eat. Mu Chunfang added an untimely sentence. After saying that, Qin Yuan's face darkened. His mother was really... Didn't she see the displeasure on his face? She actually stood on that stupid woman Zhao Yun's side. Mother? Big brother Yuan, what's wrong? Don't you want to eat? Qin Yuan's face darkened again. He gritted his teeth and finally made up his mind before eating the food that Zhao Ping handed over. Zhao Ping laughed as if she was very happy. She looked at Qin Yuan with a somewhat infatuated gaze. Qin Yuan felt that the food that he had swallowed was about to be thrown up again after seeing Zhao Ping's face. He hurriedly turned his gaze away and did not look at Zhao Ping anymore. Otherwise, he was really afraid that he would not be able to control his nausea. When the surrounding people saw this, they laughed mockingly again. Qin Yuan frowned and blamed these people's mockery on Zhao Ping. If it were not for Zhao Ping, he naturally would not be laughed at by others. Ugly woman. While she was still useful to him now, he would endure it for the time being. When his life got better in the future, he would dump Zhao Ping. It was just that he had to suffer for now. Mu Chunfang could see Qin Yuan's disdain and displeasure. He sighed slightly and knew what his son was thinking. Hurry up and eat. Mu Chunfang called out to Qin Yuan. It was not easy to come to Zhao Yun's stall for a meal. They had to eat well. Only by eating more would they not be at a disadvantage. Qin Yuan nodded. When it came to eating, he felt a little better in his heart. After all, their family was poor, and Zhao Yun's stall had a lot of food that they couldn't eat on normal days. Family started eating, and the more they ate, the merrier. The few of them were like evil spirits. After eating a lot of food, they still didn't have enough and continued to eat. Seeing this situation, Zhao Yun frowned in disgust. The members of the Qin family were really greedy for small gains. Don't you know how to be more reserved when eating other people's food? After eating so much, they did not feel embarrassed at all. Of course, the reason why family Qin could be like this was because of Zhao Ping, the idiot. As soon as she saw that the food in front of family Qin was reduced, she hurriedly stuffed it with food. While Zhao Yun'er's family was busy, Mu Chunfang secretly stuffed a few meat buns from the table into her sleeves. She had eaten enough. Now her stomach felt bloated. Since her stomach could not hold it, she would bring some back. These buns and other things could be warmed up on the table. Mom, eat, Chuaner wants to eat. Qin Yuan's silly brother began to make a fuss. As he spoke, he snatched Mu Chunfang's bowl and began to eat. These were the noodles that Mu Chunfang had left over, but Qin Chuan did not care that Mu Chunfang had eaten it. If it was an ordinary person, they would probably despise it. How could a fool know so much? Chapter 765. Mu Chunfang coaxed Qin Chuan as if she was coaxing a child, afraid that Qin Chuan would make a fuss. She knew very well. If Qin Chuan were to make a fuss, the consequences would be unimaginable. I'm not eating this, it's not good, I'm not eating. As Qin Chuan spoke, he slammed the table and prepared to make a fuss. Zhao Ping'er glanced at Qin Chuan and frowned in disgust. This big fool. I hate him just by looking at him. When she thought about how she would have to face such a fool every day after marrying him, Zhao Ping'er felt a little worried. Chuan, if this doesn't taste good, what do you want to eat? Mu Chunfang asked gently. She could only coax Qin Chuan softly. She couldn't be fierce to him. Although he was a fool, he had a bad temper. Moreover, he knew that others were fierce to him. Qin Chuan didn't know what a bun was. He only pointed at Mu Chunfang's sleeve and shouted at Mu Chunfang, "Eat this." "Mother, I want to eat this." Mu Chunfang immediately understood what Qin Chuan was referring to. Qin Chuan must have seen her putting the bun into her sleeve and was pointing at her sleeve to ask for the bun to eat. This child, if Zhao Yun'er's family found out, they would be embarrassed. After all, they didn't want to eat and take things. They still wanted to save face. Mu Chunfang hurriedly stopped Qin Chuan's hand and began to coax him. Okay. Eat this. Mother will give Chuan this to eat. Eat, Mu Chunfang coaxed him. Qin Chuan obediently sat on the stool and didn't continue to make a fuss. Zhao Yun'er was attracted by the commotion over at Qin Chuan's side and looked at this fool. He was so old, yet he was so silly. Family Qin was quite tiring. However, this had nothing to do with their family. In the future, Zhao Ping'er would be the one to suffer when Zhao Ping'er marries over, not her. Mu Chunfang looked at Zhao Ping'er and said to Zhao Ping'er, "Little girl Ping'er, look at your big brother. He's making a big fuss and wants to eat meat buns. Can you bring some over?" Zhao Ping'er glanced at Qin Chuan. Although she was unhappy, she couldn't refuse her future mother-in-law. Thus, she nodded in agreement. He turned around, walked into the stall and took 5 meat buns. Zhao Yun'er felt uncomfortable when she saw this. Thinking about it, this family Qin was really interesting. It was early in the morning, and they had eaten almost 20 meat buns in their house. There were also other delicious food. How could they eat all this? Even if he couldn't eat it, he would still try his best to stuff it into his stomach. He really didn't take other people's things seriously. They were so shameless that Zhao Yun'er felt that this family was a little weird. Liang Jinxiao didn't care too much. For his family Qin, it didn't matter if he ate a little more. He knew that his family Qin was poor. I'm not eating. Qin Chuan shook his head again when Zhao Ping'er handed him a meat bun. Mu Chunfang was a little puzzled and asked, "Why? Chuan, you don't want to eat this?" "She's an ugly monster. I won't eat her." Chuan won't eat it. As he spoke, Qin Chuan glanced at Zhao Ping'er and quickly looked away as if he had seen a monster. The ugly monster Qin Chuan was referring to was Zhao Ping'er. When Zhao Ping'er heard this, she was furious. If it was an ordinary person, it would be fine, but she was actually called an ugly monster by a fool. How could she tolerate this? Chapter 766. Zhao Ping'er originally thought that since Mu Chunfang had said so, she would let it go. However, Qin Chuan's next words almost angered her to death. Although Qin Chuan was stupid, it wasn't like he couldn't understand a single word. Hearing Mu Chunfang's words, Qin Chuan pouted and said to Mu Chunfang, "Mother, I'm not talking nonsense. She's an ugly freak. She's the ugliest person I've ever seen. Mother, who is she? Why are you talking to her? Why are you talking to an ugly freak?" Zhao Ping'er felt a mouthful of blood accumulating in her chest. She was so angry that she almost spat it out. "You." Zhao Ping'er gritted her teeth and glared fiercely at Qin Chuan. "If this guy dares to speak nonsense again, I'll tear his mouth apart." After being glared at by Zhao Ping'er, Qin Chuan was so scared that he shrank his neck and hid behind Mu Chunfang. He said to Mu Chunfang, "Mother, not only is she ugly but she's also fierce. Mother, Chuaner is scared. Zhao Yun'er watched the commotion from the side and couldn't help but laugh. What af asterisk king weirdo. Looking at Zhao Ping'er's darkened face, she knew how traumatized Zhao Ping'er was. That Chuaner, don't say any more. She's your sister-in-law in the future. Mu Chunfang lectured Qin Chuan with a stern face. Qin Chuan didn't understand what his sister-in-law meant, so he asked. Mother, what's a sister-in-law? It's your brother, Qin Yuan's future wife, Mu Chunfang explained. Qin Chuan finally understood. He immediately frowned and said to Mu Chunfang, Mother, don't have a sister-in-law like this. She's too ugly, an ugly freak. Mother, don't harm me. As Qin Chuan spoke, he tugged at Qin Yuan, who was eating, and lectured him. Brother, don't have such a wife. She's too ugly. She'll scare people to death. After Qin Chuan finished speaking, Zhao Yun'er almost burst out laughing. This Qin Chuan was quite interesting. If she hadn't known that Qin Yuan was a fool, Zhao Yun'er would have thought that Qin Yuan had said those words on purpose. Zhao Yun'er still controlled herself and did not laugh out loud. She continued to watch the show. Qin Yuan's expression didn't look good either. He already disliked Zhao Ping'er very much. Now that Qin Chuan said this, he disliked her even more. After all, even a fool would know that Zhao Ping'er was too ugly, let alone a normal person. If he really married Zhao Ping'er, people would laugh at him. Qin Yuan's face darkened and he didn't say anything. Mu Chunfang hurriedly reprimanded him. Chuan, what nonsense are you talking about? This is your future sister-in-law. How can you reject her just because you say so? If you say such things again, Mother will be angry. Qin Chuan glanced at Mu Chunfang. When he saw Mu Chunfang's serious expression, he was afraid that he would really be angry. Hence he said, oh, and didn't continue to harp on this matter. Mu Chunfang was afraid that Zhao Ping'er would be angry, so he hurriedly apologized to Zhao Ping'er. Little Ping'er, please don't be calculative with Chuaner. He's a fool and sometimes likes to say such infuriating things. Actually, you're not that ugly. Besides, what's the point of a woman being so good-looking? Don't you think so? What's important is being diligent and filial, and carrying on the family line. In any case, I'm very satisfied with you, Ping'er. As Mu Chunfang spoke, he poked Qin Yuan and asked Qin Yuan to speak up for him. Qin Yuan reluctantly said to Zhao Ping'er, my mother is right. My brother is just talking nonsense. Don't mind him. Chapter 767. If she really kicked up a fuss, people would probably say that she wasn't generous enough for arguing with a fool. In addition, she was afraid that Qin Yuan would have a problem with her and hate her. This fool. She would slowly settle the score with him in the future. Anyway, she couldn't let him off easily. Zhao Ping'er gritted her teeth and said to Qin Yuan and Mu Chunfang, Aunt, Brother Yuan, how can I possibly argue with him? He's Brother Yuan's elder brother, so he's my elder brother too. Don't you think so, Brother Yuan? As Zhao Yun'er spoke, she looked towards Qin Yuan, as if she wanted to receive Qin Yuan's praise. Qin Yuan frowned and didn't want to respond. Mu Chunfang hurriedly said, Ping'er is right. Ping'er is really generous and sensible. It's our family Qin's honor to be able to marry such a good daughter-in-law. After being kicked a few times by Mu Chunfang, Qin Yuan also nodded and responded. With a few words of praise, Zhao Ping'er's anger dissipated. It was as if she had forgotten that her anger just now was so easy to appease. All right, Chuan. Your sister-in-law specially brought you a meat bun. Hurry up and eat it. Mu Chunfang urged Qin Chuan again. This was good stuff. It would be a waste if he didn't eat it. However, Qin Chuan shook his head. This time he directly tugged at Mu Chunhua's sleeve. I want to eat what mother hid in her sleeve. With Qin Chuan's tug, the buns in Mu Chunfang's sleeve all fell out. Looking at the buns on the ground, Mu Chunfang was stunned. Then he cried out in his heart, it's over, it's over. How embarrassing would it be if someone saw this? He still didn't know what Zhao Yun'er's family would think of them. This scene was indeed seen by Zhao Yun'er. Zhao Yun'er frowned. This Mu Chunfang was really interesting. Even after eating it, he still secretly hid the buns. Was he planning to bring them back to eat? Even if he was greedy, he shouldn't be this greedy. Zhao Yun'er's brows wrinkled, and her face was a little unhappy. Mu Chunfang raised his head and glanced at Zhao Yun'er guiltily. He did not know how to explain himself. You child, seriously? You don't want to eat the buns, but you insist on taking them from my sleeves? Mu Chunfang scolded Qin Chuan softly. Putting aside whether Zhao Yun'er and the rest would say anything, if the buns were taken out from his sleeves and Zhao Yun'er saw it, it would be difficult for him to put them back. Sob sob sob. Mother, you're yelling at me. Qin Chuan rubbed his eyes aggrievedly, looking like he was about to cry. Sigh. Mu Chunfang heaved a heavy sigh. What kind of sin had she committed to raise such a foolish son who only knew how to cheat her? Zhao Yun'er's lips curled up with a hint of coldness. She walked towards Mu Chunfang and said to Mu Chunfang, Auntie, why did you put my buns in your sleeves? If you want to bring them back, you should at least wrap them in butter paper. Otherwise, how can they be eaten? Mu Chunfang's ears turned red. When he met Zhao Yun'er's unfathomable eyes, he sucked in a breath and stuttered, not knowing what to say. Yun'er lass, it's all Chuaner's fault. If he wants to eat them, so be it. Why did he have to put them in my sleeves, saying that he wanted to keep them for himself? I've already scolded him. This child, his intelligence isn't very good. He's always doing stupid things. Mu Chunfang thought for a moment and explained. Zhao Yun'er was not stupid. Naturally, she did not believe Mu Chunfang's explanation. Chapter 768. Mu Chunfang's face turned even redder after hearing Zhao Yun'er's words. He tugged at the corner of his mouth and laughed awkwardly. Yun'er lass, look at what you're saying. I've eaten enough. How could I secretly keep some? Auntie, I'm just saying. There's completely no need for that. If Auntie wants to eat, just tell me directly. I'll wrap some in butter paper for you to bring back. Mu Chunfang had eaten so much. How could he have the cheek to continue asking for more? Yun'er lass, you're too polite. It's fine as long as I've eaten enough. I'm already full now. Mu Chunfang rubbed his stomach and said. Zhao Yun'er snorted coldly in her heart. How could he not eat until he was full? He ate so much of her stall's food in one go. She wasn't a petty person, but she didn't like others to treat others like fools and take advantage of them. In-law, we're also done eating. We'll take our leave first. Mu Chunfang still felt guilty and hurriedly pulled his family along as he said this. If they left early, it would save Zhao Yun'er from catching her and continuing to interrogate her. That would be embarrassing. Then I won't entertain Auntie. Take care, Auntie, Zhao Yun'er said. Seeing this family leave, she finally heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, she didn't have to interact too much. When Zhao Ping'er married over, the two families basically wouldn't interact too much. Thinking this way, Zhao Yun'er felt much better in her heart. Big brother Yuan. Zhao Ping'er watched Qin Yuan leave with a look of reluctance. Ping'er, don't just stand there. Qin Yuan has already left. What are you still looking at? Hurry up and entertain the customers. Liang Jinxiao instructed. Got it, Mom. Zhao Yun'er also turned around and started to get busy. At the same time, she whispered a few words into Liang Jinxiao's ear, telling her to be careful when she turned around. If the family Qin people came over the next time, Mu Chunfang would secretly steal something. What happened today made Zhao Ping'er a little unhappy. After all, he still wanted to stay here a little longer. Zhao Yun'er's attitude towards Mu Chunfang was not good. Looking at Mu Chunfang's reaction, she felt a little embarrassed. If Mu Chunfang was unhappy, he would definitely put the blame on her and be dissatisfied with her in the future. Thinking of this, Zhao Ping'er was even angrier. After cleaning up the mess, Zhao Ping'er complained to Zhao Yun'er, Zhao Yun'er, what are you doing today? Wasn't it just saying that big brother Yuan's mother stole the buns? Don't you know how embarrassing it is to talk about her like that? Seriously, it's just a few buns. Is there a need to be like this? They will be my in-laws in the future. Don't be petty, okay? After Zhao Ping'er rattled on, Zhao Yun'er smirked coldly. This Zhao Ping'er's brain was definitely filled with sh*t. She was not even married yet, and she was already so attentive to help her wife's group. She even did not hesitate to quarrel with her own family. How King interesting. Zhao Yun'er mocked and ridiculed. Sister Ping'er, you also know that she stole? It's fine if she came here to eat and drink, but she even secretly prepared to bring it back. You actually spoke up for them. Where is your face? You. How is it stealing? You speak so harshly. Can't you bring some back yourself? Zhao Ping'er replied angrily. Chapter 769. Zhao Ping'er immediately frowned when she heard that she was going to collect money. She turned to Zhao Yun'er and asked, Zhao Yun'er, what do you mean by that? Zhao Yun'er sneered and said, It's exactly what you think it means. I didn't say that I wouldn't collect money from the start. They aren't family Qin family yet. Even if they are, it's not like they don't have to pay for the food at my stall. So, Sister Ping'er, you have to pay for the food your future in-laws ate at our stall today. I'll just deduct it from your salary later. Today they ate a total of 134 copper coins. Let's make it 130 copper coins. I'll give you a discount. Zhao Ping'er was stunned when she heard that. What? She had to pay the bill? With so much money, if they ate a few times, wouldn't her 1 month of hard work be in vain? Zhao Ping'er was unconvinced and shouted arrogantly, Zhao Yun'er, why? My future in-laws came over to eat. What kind of logic is that? That's the logic. Do you want your in-laws? Then according to what you said, our grandfather, grandmother, uncles, aunts, and cousins don't have to pay when they come to my stall to buy food? Then wouldn't they all come over every day? At that time, my stall probably wouldn't be able to continue, right? When Zhao Yun'er said that, Zhao Ping'er opened her mouth and didn't know what to say for a moment. But she was unwilling to accept it. This is different. How is it different? Logically speaking, our grandfather and grandmother are closer to our family, right? We've already settled accounts with them, let alone your in-laws. Zhao Ping'er stomped her feet angrily. Anyway, I'm not paying. I won't pay for it. All right then, if you don't pay, you can ask your in-laws to pay. The next time I see them, I'll directly ask for it. That's not impossible. When Zhao Ping'er heard this, she immediately panicked. If Zhao Yun'er really asked the family Qin for it, it would be over. The family Qin might be very angry and have opinions about their family. Then they would be dissatisfied with her. Then Qin Yuan would break the engagement. Thinking of this, Zhao Ping'er felt that she couldn't bear the consequences of this matter. Mother, Zhao Ping'er looked at Liang Jinxiao, hoping that Liang Jinxiao would speak up for her. Liang Jinxiao sighed. She didn't know what to say. She didn't dare to say anything to Zhao Yun'er. It was normal for Zhao Yun'er to be angry about this matter. How could there be anyone who ate and then secretly took the food to bring it back? Isn't this the same as stealing? It was one thing to steal from someone else, but the main thing was that the relationship between the two families was already so bad. To still steal, as the saying goes, rabbits don't eat the grass near their burrows. The family Qin's actions were clearly too much. Liang Jinxiao thought for a moment and stood on Zhao Yun'er's side. She said to Zhao Ping'er, Yun'er's words aren't unreasonable. After all, the two families are different. Sometimes it's better to be clear about things. Zhao Ping'er was so angry that she burst into tears. Mother, you're too much. All right, Ping'er, don't be so protective of him. Otherwise, you'll be at a disadvantage after marrying him. Sometimes it's good to be calculative. Liang Jinxiao persuaded her and sighed slightly. Mother, ignore her. She's a traitor. Why do you feel so sorry for her? Zhao Yun'er said lightly. Liang Jinxiao wasn't a fool. How could she not see that Zhao Ping'er was so protective of her future in-laws today? Chapter 770. She reckoned that when she got married in the future, she would dislike her family even more. Putting aside the fact that she had raised such a daughter and gave her away for nothing, she even felt even more stifled. Zhao Yun'er, how dare you sow discord in front of mother? See if I don't teach you a lesson. Zhao Ping'er was furious. She didn't think too much and directly rushed towards Zhao Yun'er. She was prepared to tear Zhao Yun'er's mouth apart first. Unfortunately, before Zhao Ping'er could rush over, she was thrown out again. This time the person who taught Zhao Ping'er a lesson was still Yili. Even if she was Zhao Yun'er's biological sister, as long as she laid a hand on Zhao Yun'er, he wouldn't go easy on her. Zhao Ping'er screamed and fell to the ground, unable to move. She screamed, "Io, Io?" She looked very miserable. Mother, it hurts, wah wah wah. Zhao Ping'er felt wronged. For a moment she burst into tears and opened her mouth wide. She was already ugly, but now she felt even uglier. Ping'er, Liang Jinxiao hurried over and helped Zhao Ping'er up. Actually, if Yili didn't do anything, Zhao Yun'er was prepared to teach Zhao Ping'er a lesson herself. If it was just 1 or 2 times, she could let her off. But every time she challenged her patience. It seemed like she had to teach this B***tch a lesson. Yili looked down at Zhao Ping'er from above. If I see you touch a single hair on Yun'er's head again, I'll chop off your hands. Yili wasn't like Zhao Yun'er. When Yili kicked Zhao Ping'er so hard that it almost broke her bones. Although Zhao Ping'er was angry, she immediately sobered up after being taught a lesson by Yili. Trying to hit a rock with an egg, wasn't that just courting death? Zhao Ping'er, that little bitch is really good. She'll be in for it later. She would remember this enmity for the time being. When she returned, she would tell Lord Shitzi that Zhao Yun'er had hooked up with another man outside. In the future, Lord Shitzi would teach her a lesson. It would be best if Shitzi Yi hated Zhao Yun'er. In the future, Zhao Yun'er would lose Shitzi Ye's support. Let's see if she could still be arrogant. Zhao Yun'er gave Yili a deep look. Why was this man so arrogant? Although she didn't like men hitting women, when Yili hit Zhao Pinger just now, she was stunned by how cool he looked. Sure enough, it wasn't that men couldn't hit women, but that it depended on who they were hitting. That kind of bitch should be taught a lesson. Liang Jinxiao helped Zhao Pinger into the car and whispered into Zhao Pinger's ear, "Pinger, it's not that I want to nag you, but why are you getting ready to hit her? Let's talk things out." Yunner's words aren't without reason. Zhao Pinger dug her ears and said impatiently, "Mom, seriously. Why do you have to speak up for Zhao Yunner? Am I not your daughter? I don't want to continue talking to you. Go ahead and be biased." Liang Jinxiao shook his head helplessly. This child. She couldn't get through to her even if he tried to talk nicely. In the remaining time they went to the stall to buy some things back. There were some pig offal, some pork and some side dishes in the garden at home. They just had to pluck some when the time came. Zhao Yunner asked Daodu and Zhao Tianfu to catch some lobsters. For lunch they would have pig offal, braised pork, lobster and a few side dishes. It would definitely be a sumptuous meal. In addition, Zhao Yunner bought some wine. The men were together at noon, so they definitely had to drink and chat. Chapter 771. After all, these people looked down on others. This time at least they knew that the third branch wasn't so poor and didn't look at them eagerly like before. After shopping, the few of them went back from the town. When they arrived at the entrance of the village, they saw Zhao Tianan busy by the river, using straw to tie a few fish in his hands. When Zhao Yunner saw him, she said to Zhao Tianan, "Tianan, did you know that eldest uncle and second uncle were coming here today to catch fish and add dishes? This fish is really big. It'll be delicious when we make fish head tofu later." With fish there would be one more dish and they could entertain more people at noon. However, Zhao Tianan lowered his head and said with some hesitation, "Second sister, this fish. I'm giving it to Xiaofeng." When Zhao Pinger heard Zhao Yunner say that she wanted to eat fish head tofu in the car, she began to drool. If it was in the past she probably wouldn't care for it. However, once Zhao Yunner made fish head tofu, she fell in love with it. Fish head tofu was much more delicious than ordinary tofu. Because it was cooked together with the head of the house, it tasted very fresh and delicious. Thus, Zhao Pinger said, "Tianan, didn't you send the fish over yesterday? Leave today's fish and let's eat it at home. I want to eat fish head tofu." Eldest sister. Xiaofeng said she likes it, so I promised to send her another one today. Zhao Tianan lowered his head and replied timidly, "Then take this fish back first and catch another one for Xiaofeng later." Eldest sister. It's time to cook and Xiaofeng is already cooking at home. If I catch another one, I don't know if I can catch it and how long it will take. It turned out that Zhao Tianan was refusing and wholeheartedly wanted to give the fish in his hands to Ma Xiaofeng. A trace of loss flashed across Zhao Yunner's eyes, or rather, disappointment. This younger brother of his, the degree of siding with outsiders was not inferior to Zhao Pinger. It was just Ma Xiaofeng, but he was so infatuated with her that he even cared about his own family. It was just a fish. Zhao Yunner really didn't care much about it. Thus, he turned to Zhao Tianan and said, "Tianan, why don't you give this to Ma Xiaofeng? You're so nice to her, so she should ask you to stay for a meal. You can eat at her house later." Zhao Yunner's words were neither cold nor light, and he couldn't hear her emotions. But Zhao Yunner's words made Zhao Tianan blush. "Second sister. All right, Tianan. It's not that second sister doesn't want you to send her, but you're so nice to her. It's not too much for her to ask you to stay for lunch, right? Otherwise, wouldn't you be giving away so many fish for free?" Zhao Tianan lowered his head. He didn't know what to say. Was his second sister angry again? Sigh. It seemed like his second sister meant that she didn't want him to eat lunch at home. Zhao Yunner didn't continue speaking. Instead, she patted Xiao Mao's butt and called out, "Let's go, Xiao Mao." Xiao Mao obeyed Zhao Yunner's order and ran away. It seemed to have heard the emotions in Zhao Yunner's words. As it ran, it even kicked backward, kicking some soil on the ground onto Zhao Tianan. Zhao Tianan looked at Zhao Yunner's back as she left, then looked at the fish in his hand. He suddenly felt that the fish in his hand was very heavy. At this moment he was hesitating whether to give it to Ma Xiaofeng or take it back. If he gave it to Ma Xiaofeng, his second sister would be angry. If he took it back, Ma Xiaofeng would definitely be unhappy because he went back on his word. Chapter 772. After struggling for a while, Zhao Tianan finally walked in the direction of Ma Xiaofeng's house. On the way back to the third branch, Liang Jinxiao could clearly feel Zhao Yunner's displeasure. He sighed slightly. The relationship between the two siblings was getting worse and worse because of Ma Xiaofeng. But Tianan, that child, was really obsessed. He was so obsessed with Ma Xiaofeng that he couldn't tell the direction. Because Zhao Yun'er left, Liang Jinxiao and Zhao Wenhua were not in the mood to arrange Zhao Tianan's marriage, so Su Youcai's niece did not come to visit. They had to arrange for the two children to meet later. When Zhao Yun'er and the others returned to the third branch, Zhao Yun'er's eldest uncle and second uncle had just arrived. It was the first time Zhao Yun'er saw them after she transmigrated. The original owner did not have much memory of these two uncles. When Liang Jinxiao saw his two brothers, he got out of the car and hurried forward to greet them. "Eldest brother, second brother, you're here." Zhao Yun'er's eldest uncle, Liang Jinshun, and second uncle, Liang Jinhui, only responded faintly in response to Liang Jinxiao's warm greeting. They did not seem to be very enthusiastic. When they caught a glimpse of Zhao Yun'er standing beside Liang Jinxiao, their faces became even uglier. Zhao Yun'er's pregnancy before marriage made Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui feel ashamed and humiliated. It was a disgrace to their family's reputation, so they did not like Zhao Yun'er. Zhao Yun'er did not expect her two uncles to have such an attitude. When they looked at her, their faces were full of disdain, as if they had seen something dirty. Liang Jinxiao smiled embarrassedly. He felt like his warm face was being snubbed. "Big brother, second brother, don't just stand there. Hurry up and go into the house to rest and drink some water. I'm going to prepare lunch now. We'll leave after lunch." Liang Jinxiao called out again. "There's no need for that. We're just here to give you some money. After all, Pinger's wedding is a joyous occasion. As for lunch, forget it. Let's go back to eat. After all, there's nothing delicious in your house. Don't put wild vegetables on the table." Liang Jinshun said with some disdain, which made Liang Jinxiao slightly embarrassed. Her eldest brother and second brother had come to her house before. At that time they hadn't separated from the family. Hua Chunhua had only cooked 2 dishes of wild vegetables and a few cornbread, which had been left over for a few days. When her 2 brothers saw this kind of treatment, they immediately turned around and left. Ever since he came over, he had never eaten anything. It was the same this time. They thought that Liang Jinxiao didn't have anything good to treat them. "Big brother, second brother, it won't happen this time. I've specially prepared a lot of dishes for you to come over. I guarantee that you'll have a good meal today," Liang Jinxiao said. Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui naturally didn't believe him. They snorted softly and said, "What good treatment does your family have for us? All right, don't hit the fatty in the face." As he spoke, Liang Jinhui walked in front of Liang Jinxiao and stuffed a red packet into Liang Jinxiao's hand. He said to Liang Jinxiao, "Big sister, don't say that your eldest brother and I didn't come. This red packet is for you. We'll come over again when Pinger holds the banquet." After saying that, he looked like he was about to leave. Liang Jinxiao suddenly panicked and hurriedly pulled Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui. "Big brother, second brother, don't go. Really, I bought something good to treat you this afternoon. Eat before you leave. How can you go back without eating?" Chapter 773. No matter what, their reputation would be tarnished. Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui saw that Liang Jinxiao did not look like she was lying, so they said to Liang Jinxiao, "Big sister, tell us what good food your family has for us for lunch?" Liang Jinxiao understood that her 2 brothers meant that they would stay if there was good food, so she hurriedly took out the groceries they bought today. The first thing she took out was pig offal. A stinky smell spread. Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui hurriedly covered their noses and said angrily and disdainfully, "Big sister, is this what you meant by good food? What did I think it was? Turns out it's pig offal that people don't even eat, but you bought it and prepared to serve us. Do you really think we're beggars? No matter how poor our Liang family is, we won't fall to the point of eating pig offal." The more they said, the angrier Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui became. Using pig offal to serve people, wasn't it obvious that she was looking down on them? With such poor food conditions, she even said that she would build a house. Where would she get the money to build a house? She was probably just bluffing. After all, they had not seen Liang Jinxiao's house being built until now. Liang Jinhui said to Liang Jinshun, "Forget it, big brother. Why are we still being so long-winded here? Let's go back quickly. If we go back early, we can still make it in time for lunch." Liang Jinshun nodded. "Okay, let's go back. We'll go back now." When the 2 of them walked out of old Zhao's courtyard, Liang Jinxiao hurriedly called out to Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui, "Big brother, second brother, this pig offal is delicious. It's not what we usually think it is." Liang Jinhui snorted softly. "Enough, big sister. You're the only one who treats this stinky thing as a treasure. It's fine if you eat it, but do you want us to eat it? If it's not what we usually think it is, then tell us, what can it be? Liang Jinxiao sighed. Big brother, second brother, although this pig's offal smells a little stinky now, but Yuner can make it not stinky and it's especially delicious. It's best to go with wine. Zhao Wenhua also chimed in. That's right, Yuner's big uncle, Yuner's mother is right. Although this pig offal smells a little, Yuner can make it. I didn't believe it until I ate it. After Liang Jinshun and Zhao, Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinshun were and Liang. Eldest sister, brother-in-law, who would believe your words? If your family's Yuner girl really has such a good ability, would she still be able to do such a shameful thing? Liang Jinhui ridiculed. How? Moreover, her two uncles' attitudes really made her speechless. Their arrogant and condescending attitude meant that they didn't care about the third branch at all. Liang Jinxiao quickly glanced at Zhao Yun'er, afraid that Zhao Yun'er would get angry. Seeing that Zhao Yun'er's gaze had indeed turned cold, he couldn't help but worry that Zhao Yun'er would get angry. Zhao Yun'er smiled. Since that's the case, mother, let's let big uncle and second uncle go back. We'll eat by ourselves. Other than pig offal, there's also pork eggs and something else for lunch. When they heard Zhao Yun'er say that there was pork, Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui paused in their steps. Chapter 774. Zhao Yun'er had originally intended to anger her two uncles. Before they left, she wanted to let them know that their family was different from before and that their food was not shabby. Liang Jinxiao hurriedly replied, yes, there's still a lot of food left. As he spoke, Liang Jinxiao took out a plate of pork and a jar of wine from the basket. Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui finally believed him. It would be a waste not to eat meat and wine, so they cleared their throats and said to Liang Jinxiao, all right then, eldest sister. Let's stay for a meal today. Liang Jinxiao agreed with a smile, but Zhao Yun'er was not very happy. The corners of her mouth twitched uncontrollably. These two uncles were also snobbish. Eldest brother, second brother, go to the house and rest first. Have a glass of water. Later Yun'er and I will go and cook. When the food is ready, we'll eat together. Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui responded faintly, and the two men walked into the house. Liang Jinxiao tugged at Zhao Yun'er and said to Zhao Yun'er, all right Yun'er, don't take your eldest uncle and second uncle's words to heart. Let's go and cook. Okay. Zhao Yun'er could not be bothered to argue with them. First, she would let them see how good their family was. Later, when her eldest uncle and second uncle came to curry favor with them, she would ignore them and let them experience this feeling. Zhao Yun'er finally understood that the poorer the era, the more powerful people were. In that case, it was better to show off. It was better to make people jealous than to be looked down upon. The two of them began to get busy in the kitchen. Daodu and Zhao Tianfu had brought back the lobsters. The two children very sensibly began to wash the lobsters. As for Zhao Ping'er, she curiously went forward to take a look and asked Zhao Yun'er, can this lobster be eaten? Zhao Yun'er could not be bothered with Zhao Ping'er and pretended not to hear her. Zhao Ping'er glared at Zhao Yun'er angrily. Zhao Yun'er, I'm talking to you. Didn't you hear me? Zhao Yun'er snorted softly. If it can't be eaten, why would I cook it? That means it can be eaten. It must be delicious. Zhao Ping'er's eyes lit up as if she had discovered something important. So, she hurriedly went over to see how Zhao Tianfu and Daodu washed the lobsters. She had to memorize and learn it. Tianfu, how do you wash it? Zhao Ping'er asked. Zhao Tianfu demonstrated to Zhao Ping'er. Zhao Ping'er was also eager to try. Me too, me too. As she spoke, she reached into the bucket to grab the lobsters. However, the lobsters clamped onto Zhao Ping'er's fingers. Zhao Ping'er screamed in pain. It hurts. Zhao Ping'er hurriedly shook her hands. Unfortunately, the lobsters were clamped tightly onto her fingers. Zhao Ping'er could not shake them off at all. She continued to scream at the top of her lungs. The other members of old Zhao's family ran out. They thought that something had happened. They saw that Zhao Ping'er had only been clamped by the lobsters. It was as if something big had happened. Little Ping'er, can you not shout so loudly when you have nothing to do? You're scaring the souls out of people. That's right, so noisy. Ping'er girl, you're making a fuss over such a small thing. You're already an adult. Don't you feel ashamed? Chapter 775. With that, Feng Zhangxia hugged Zhao Yangyang and began to coax him. Third brother's wife, you'd better take care of Ping'er later. Don't make a fuss. Hua Chunhua put the blame on Liang Jinxiao. Zhao Ping was already in pain from being pinched. Now that old Zhao's family said such things, she couldn't help but feel a little angry. Seriously, were these people even human? They didn't have any conscience at all. She was so angry. Zhao Yun'er glanced at Zhao Ping'er and scolded her for being an idiot in her heart. She could become like this after being pinched by a lobster. What a weirdo. Zhao Ping'er said angrily to Zhao Yun'er, it's all your fault. It's all because of you that I was bitten. Zhao Yun'er glanced at Zhao Ping'er coldly. The two children weren't bitten, but you were. Should I say that you're stupid or stupid? You, alright Ping'er, stop fooling around. Isn't it just a pinch? How painful can it be? Liang Jinxiao nagged. Zhao Ping'er pursed her lips. Since she was going to taste the lobster later, she didn't bicker with Zhao Yun'er for the time being. Instead, she continued to run in front of Zhao Tianfu and Daodu to see how the two children cooked. She still had to learn how to cook. Zhao Ping'er thought that since Zhao Yun'er could make a pig offal so delicious, Zhao Yun'er could probably make a lobster as well. Neither of them were good food. If the taste could be made unique, she would use it in the stall she opened with Ma Xiaofeng in the future. It could be considered a special dish. When Zhao Yun'er was cooking, she asked Liang Jinxiao to check how much money his two uncles had sent as gifts. Liang Jinxiao took out the red packet and counted it. There were only 20 copper coins in total. Looking at the 20 copper coins in his hand, Liang Jinxiao felt a little embarrassed to talk to Zhao Yun'er. Yun'er, your first uncle and second uncle sent a total of 21 this time. Liang Jinxiao sighed slightly as he spoke. In the countryside, the gift money was usually 20 copper coins, starting from 30 copper coins. Therefore, 20 copper coins was considered very little. If it had been someone else, it would have been fine. It would have been a token of their sincerity to join in the fun. However, her eldest and second uncles were very close to her. Taking out 20 copper coins for such a close relationship was a little too shabby. Zhao Yun'er's face darkened. Interesting. Her first and second uncles came all the way here and only sent 20 copper coins. She didn't know how these two people had the nerve to do this. Mother, if we knew this would happen, we wouldn't have let them eat well. 20 copper coins isn't even enough to buy a few cups of wine at our house. The more Zhao Yun'er thought about it, the angrier she felt. What kind of people were these? Her aunt was a weirdo. It was fine if she didn't treat them well. After all, they weren't related by blood. However, her uncle, her mother's biological brother, was actually like this. Zhao Yun'er finally understood that there was no need to look down on others to such an extent. Now that they sent the 20 copper coins, it was probably because they were afraid of being criticized by others. It was really unpleasant to hear that they didn't even send a gift money for their niece's wedding. Liang Jinxiao sighed again and comforted Zhao Yun'er. Yun'er, forget it. We don't care about a few more copper coins. Chapter 776. Zhao Ping'er and her cousin were both Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui's nieces. The reason why there was such a big difference was because Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui had different views of the two families. It was obvious that Liang Jinhui and Liang Jinshun were stepping on Zhao Yun'er's family and flattering Liang Jinfen's family. Liang Jinxiao sighed again. What can we do? Since they look down on us so much, just don't fawn over us in the future. Zhao Yun'er snorted softly. Sigh. Liang Jinxiao didn't know what to say. How could she blame her two elder brothers? After all, they were her biological brothers. Thinking about it, the relationship between siblings could easily be changed by money. This was how society worked. Zhao Yun'er couldn't be bothered to continue this topic. Anyway, she had no feelings for her eldest uncle and second uncle's family. They could do whatever they wanted as long as they didn't interact with each other in the future. After a while, when Zhao Yun'er was almost done with the dishes, the last dish was stir-fried crayfish. Zhao Ping'er's eyes widened as she watched from the side. She didn't know that crayfish could be stir-fried like this. It was really too fragrant. She hadn't tasted it yet, but she already felt that it was delicious just by smelling it. This was great. She would have a signature dish at her stall in the future. She felt a little excited just thinking about it. Zhao Ping'er felt that she had to hurry up and learn more cooking skills from Zhao Yun'er. Then she wouldn't have to worry about her business not being good in the future. The aroma of the dishes in the kitchen had already drifted into the room of the third house, and everyone was drooling. Even Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui couldn't remain calm. Wasn't this dish a little too fragrant? Even the restaurants in the town had never smelled such a fragrant aroma. Zhao Wenhua chuckled and said, Yun'er's culinary skills are good. Eldest uncle and second uncle, you're in for a treat later. It's so delicious. Only then did Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui's attitudes become slightly better. They responded faintly, "That girl is finally of some use. Otherwise she would be a useless person at home. How shameful." Zhao Wenhua's expression was a little stiff. He couldn't help but explain to Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui. Yun'er's first uncle, second uncle, Yun'er is different from before. Yun'er has the ability to earn her own money. The house that our family is about to build will be built with the money that Yun'er earned. Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui couldn't help but feel puzzled. They were curious about what Zhao Wenhua had said. After asking a few more questions, Zhao Wenhua began to explain. The two of them finally understood the current situation of the third branch. Their big sister's family was really different from before. If it was in the past, he might not have believed it. Now that he thought about it, if they could even afford to buy meat and eat such good food, how bad could their family background be? He couldn't help but sigh. His attitude towards Zhao Wenhua suddenly became much better. In the kitchen, Zhao Yun'er scooped the fried lobsters onto a plate and called the family to prepare to eat. There were a few dishes for lunch. There was braised pork, pig intestines, crayfish, tofu and cabbage soup, chili scrambled eggs, stir-fried water celery and steamed fresh meat slices. This would be a feast in any farmer's house. Zhao Yun'er said to Zhao Tianfu and Daodu, "Daodu, go call your father over for lunch." Although Mu Lianfeng's body was a little weak after being poisoned, it wasn't that he couldn't move. After resting for a day he could get up and walk around now. Yes, yes. Daodu nodded heavily and prepared to go over. Chapter 777. I'll go. I'll call Master Shitzi over. Zhao Ping'er said eagerly. Zhao Yun'er frowned. She didn't know what Zhao Ping'er was thinking. No need. Daodu can go. Zhao Yun'er said faintly, rejecting Zhao Ping'er. Daodu is just a child. He runs so slowly. How can he run as fast as me? I don't know how long it'll take to call Master Shitzi over. I'm in a hurry to eat. The sooner we call Master Shitzi over, the sooner we can eat. Zhao Yun'er's mouth twitched. Zhao Ping'er, this woman, only thought about eating. She wasn't afraid that she would become fat from eating. In her previous life, her family's conditions weren't good. The food they ate usually didn't have much oil and they often didn't have enough to eat. Therefore, no matter how gluttonous Zhao Ping'er was, she wouldn't become fat. Instead, she would become very thin. Recently, the family's food had improved. Zhao Ping'er could eat a lot for every meal. Therefore, she slowly became fat. She estimated that she was around 20 kgs heavier than before. Currently, she couldn't see what was wrong with Zhao Ping'er's figure. However, if Zhao Ping'er continued to eat like this, there would be a day when Zhao Ping'er would become a fat pig. Liang Jinxiao said to Zhao Yun'er, "Yun'er, let Ping'er go. The sooner you call Master Shitzi over, the sooner we can bring the food into the room and invite your eldest uncle and second uncle to eat." Zhao Yun'er finally relaxed and nodded in agreement. At this time, Li Chuiying walked into old Zhao's courtyard after he finished untying his hands from the latrine pit. She was attracted by the aroma coming from the third branch's kitchen. She walked over and said to Liang Jinxiao, "Third sister-in-law, your family's lunch is really good. These dishes smell so good." Liang Jinxiao responded and explained, "It's Yun'er's eldest and second uncles who are here to send some money. Ping'er is about to get married." Li Chuiying nodded. "I see. Ping'er is getting married, so we should give her some money. Your first uncle and second uncle have sent so many gifts. Do you have so many good dishes to entertain them?" Liang Jinxiao was a little embarrassed to say it out loud. If he didn't say it out loud, he was afraid that people would laugh at him. "What's wrong, third sister-in-law? Why aren't you saying anything? Did they send a lot over?" Liang Jinxiao pursed his lips. "Not much. Not much is not much. Just tell us. Later on, our family will have to give Ping'er some money as a reference." This. Liang Jinxiao blushed slightly and stuttered, not knowing what to say. She wasn't used to lying, so she couldn't lie in front of Li Chuiying at this time. "Third sister-in-law, look at you. It's not a big deal. Why can't you say it out loud?" "Second sister-in-law, it's really not much. When the time comes, just let mother decide what to send." "Okay then. Mother will decide on Ping'er's gift money." "But third sister-in-law, what's wrong? Yun'er's first uncle and second uncle sent the money. Since your family is so hospitable, when mother sends the money later, shouldn't you also prepare some good dishes for our old Zhao family to eat together?" Liang Jinxiao was stunned. He didn't expect Li Chuiying to have such an idea. Li Chuiying wasn't wrong. Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui had come over and entertained them so grandly. There was no reason not to entertain old Zhao's family, however, it wasn't easy to entertain them. He had to trouble Zhao Yuner again. Chapter 778. Li Chuang's face darkened. Yuner, what do you mean by this? You treat your eldest uncle and second uncle as human beings, but the old Zhao family doesn't? Zhao Yuner spat. Second aunt, don't talk to me about this. My eldest uncle and second uncle came all the way here and are considered guests. That's why we entertain them. We only live in the same courtyard. Do we still need to entertain them? Zhao Yuner, you. Li Chuang glared at Zhao Yuner angrily. This girl's glib tongue was better than anyone else's. She couldn't even outtalk her. Zhao Yuner smirked. Second aunt, if you're a glutton, just say so. Don't beat around the bush. Li Chuang blushed after being exposed by Zhao Yuner. Well done, Yuner, you've grown up. Who are you closer to when you're siding with an outsider? You're sucking up to your mother's relatives. With that, Li Chuang stormed off in a huff. Zhao Yuner thought it was hilarious. Actually, Zhao Yuner didn't like her father's relatives or her mother's relatives. After all, they weren't good people. She didn't know why all the relatives she met were freaking weirdos. There weren't many good people among them. Was it because of her relatives, or were there too many bad people in this era? On the other end, Zhao Pinger eagerly ran towards Zhao Yuner's house. When she arrived at Zhao Yuner's house, Mu Lianfeng was lying on the bed. Mu Lianfeng's eyes were closed. He seemed to be asleep. Zhao Pinger leaned over and glanced at Mu Lianfeng. She couldn't help but sigh. This heir presumptive was indeed good-looking. It was much more beautiful than Qin Yuan. She didn't know where Zhao Yuner got her luck from to be able to catch the eye of the crown prince. Then he thought about her. A surge of jealousy rose in his heart. When Zhao Pinger leaned over to pat Mu Lianfeng's eyes suddenly opened. When he saw Zhao Pinger's face, he frowned slightly for a moment. Then he lifted his leg and sent Zhao Pinger flying. Ouch! Zhao Pinger screamed again. She had been taught a lesson by Yi Li in the morning and had not yet recovered from her injuries. She did not expect that Mu Lianfeng would attack her again. Zhao Pinger gritted her teeth and looked at Mu Lianfeng with an aggrieved expression. Mu Lianfeng's cold words drifted into Zhao Pinger's ears. What are you doing here? Sob, sob, sob. Heir presumptive, I'm here to call you for dinner. I was just trying to wake you up. I didn't expect that before I could do it, I would be sent flying by your kick. Heir presumptive, you're really ruthless. Looking at Zhao Pinger's aggrieved expression, Mu Lianfeng felt a little awkward. However, he didn't feel sorry for Zhao Pinger. Since you're here to call me for dinner, why are you still acting so sneakily? Mu Lianfeng said this to find an excuse for his actions. He was saying that Zhao Pinger deserved to be kicked by him. Sob, sob, sob. Heir presumptive, I'm not acting sneakily. I just saw that you were asleep. That's enough. Mu Lianfeng glanced coldly at Zhao Pinger. Since you're here to call me for dinner, let's go. Zhao Pinger was still lying on the ground and did not get up. Seeing that Mu Lianfeng was about to leave, she shouted at Mu Lianfeng, Heir presumptive, you kicked me too hard. I can't get up. Can you give me a hand? Chapter 779. There was a trace of disgust in his eyes. How could he pull her away? Other than Zhao Yuner, he didn't want to touch any other woman. Even if Zhao Pinger was Zhao Yuner's biological sister and was so ugly that she was no threat to Zhao Yuner, he still couldn't do that. Then you should lie down first. You can get up when you have the strength. I'll go over first. Mu Lianfeng walked forward as if he had abandoned Zhao Pinger. Zhao Pinger pursed her lips in grievance. She could get up on her own. What was the big deal? She didn't want to waste time lying down here. Otherwise, all the good dishes at home would be eaten up and she wouldn't be able to eat anymore. Thus, Zhao Pinger quickly got up and followed behind Mu Lianfeng. Lord Heir, speak frankly. Sigh, there's something about Yun. I don't know if I should say it. I'm afraid you'll be angry if I say it, but if I don't say it, I'll think that my sister is too much. How could she do such a thing? Mu Lianfeng paused in his steps as if he had heard Zhao Pinger's words. Zhao Pinger hurriedly continued, Sigh, Zhao Pinger is really? Lord Heir, you're such a good person, but she doesn't know how to cherish you. Who does she think she is? Mu Lianfeng frowned slightly and said to Zhao Pinger with some displeasure, If you have something to say, just say it. Don't stutter and hesitate. Zhao Pinger was delighted. It seemed that Mu Lianfeng was really interested in this matter. Sigh. Lord Heir, you don't know. Zhao Yuner is with you now, but she's hooking up with another man behind your back. There was a very handsome man who came to eat breakfast every day at her breakfast stall. Zhao Yuner clearly knew that he liked her, but she still flirted with that man all day long. They were very intimate. I really can't take it anymore. How can she be like this? Isn't it enough that she has you? How could he hook up with the flowers and plants outside? So, he was really thinking about what was in the pot while eating from the bowl. Shi Ziyi, although she is my younger sister, you are such a good person. I have to remind you, lest you be deceived and still don't know. It's best not to have a woman like Zhao Yuner. Zhao Ping'er rambled on and told Mu Lianfeng about how Yili persevered and came over every day. Mu Lianfeng's eyes darkened and his face turned terrifyingly cold. It wasn't because he believed Zhao Ping'er's words. He knew how Zhao Yuner treated him. His life was saved by Zhao Yuner, and he had 100% trust in Zhao Yuner. However, if Zhao Ping'er wasn't lying, then there should be a very handsome man who was pursuing his Yuner. Didn't that mean that he had a love rival? If it was an ordinary man, then so be it. But the man that Zhao Ping'er was talking about was very handsome. Even his appearance didn't lose to hers. He felt threatened by such a strong opponent. He would never allow Zhao Yuner to be snatched away by a man like this. Chapter 780. Sneak a peek? He was not a homewrecker. Why should he sneak a peek? When the time came, he would go over openly. He wanted to know which man had the guts to snatch his woman. When Zhao Ping'er saw Mu Lianfeng's reaction, she gritted her teeth and felt even more smug. Great. Zhao Yuner, that be asterisk tc, just wait and see. It would be great if she was abandoned by the heir of the crown prince. Mu Lianfeng could not be bothered to look at Zhao Ping'er and quickened his steps. When they arrived at the third branch and Mu Lianfeng came over, Zhao Yuner brought over the dishes that she had prepared for lunch and asked her eldest uncle and second uncle to eat together. Zhao Wenhua did not introduce Mu Lianfeng's identity. Otherwise, Liang Jinshan and Liang Jinhui would not dare to sit at the table and eat. After all, Mu Lianfeng's identity was there. Ordinary people would not dare to sit at the same table as the heir of the crown prince. When he found out about Mu Lianfeng's identity, he was also trembling with fear and did not dare to face Mu Lianfeng at all. Naturally, Liang Jinshan and Liang Jinhui were the same. However, although they did not mention Mu Lianfeng's identity, Mu Lianfeng's appearance and temperament made people know that his identity was not simple. Liang Jinshan and Liang Jinhui were full of respect for Mu Lianfeng. They originally looked down on Zhao Yuner's family, but instantly became enthusiastic. After eating, they praised Zhao Yuner from time to time. When Zhao Yuner heard her eldest uncle and second uncle's praises, she laughed it off. Such snobbish words were good to hear. There was no need to take them seriously. Sure enough, many people were like this. They fawned over the rich and looked down on the poor. At the dining table, Zhao Yuner noticed that Mu Lianfeng's expression didn't seem too good. He only focused on eating and didn't eat much. Zhao Yuner couldn't help but have some doubts in her heart. What was wrong with this guy? He was fine, but he seemed to be angry. Why was he angry? Was he angry with her? Zhao Yuner bit her chopsticks as she ate. If it weren't for the fact that there were other people around, she would have pulled Mu Lianfeng aside and asked him what was going on. Zhao Ping'er glanced at Mu Lianfeng's reaction and felt a burst of joy in her heart. If Mu Lianfeng was so angry, Zhao Yuner would definitely not have a good time. Ah, isn't this a lobster? Yuner can actually make such delicious food, too amazing. Liang Jinshan praised. This time he wasn't just trying to curry favor. He really felt that way. It wasn't that they hadn't seen crayfish before, but they couldn't think of anyone who could cook crayfish to such an extent. Zhao Yuner was the first. Liang Jinhui also praised him. That's right. Not only is the crayfish delicious, but the pig's offal is also very delicious. Zhao Yuner sneered and said to Liang Jinhui, "Second uncle, if I remember correctly, you said not long ago that I used pig's offal to send beggars away. You even said that no matter how poor I was, I wouldn't fall to the point of eating pig's offal. Now you've changed your mind." After Zhao Yuner finished speaking, Liang Jinhui felt a burning pain on his face. "Didn't I not eat just now? So I didn't know how it tasted. Now that I've eaten it, it feels pretty good." Haha, Zhao Yuner laughed. There was a hint of mockery in her laughter. Liang Jinhui's words were a slap to his own face. He looked at the pig's offal on the table and wanted to eat it, but was too embarrassed to move his chopsticks. Chapter 781. Why did she feel like apart from Mu Lianfeng's anger, there was also a strong smell of vinegar in the air? Zhao Yuner couldn't help but take a few more glances at Mu Lianfeng. Then she picked up a lobster and placed it in Mu Lianfeng's bowl. She then said to Mu Lianfeng, "Why aren't you eating?" This lobster is delicious. You didn't eat it yesterday. Have a taste today. Mu Lianfeng glanced at the lobster, then looked at Zhao Yun'er. Seeing Mu Lianfeng's slightly pouty mouth, Zhao Yun'er couldn't help but ask, "What's wrong, Mu Lianfeng?" The way he looked at her just now was completely like that of a resentful wife. Zhao Yun'er's heart trembled. This guy, what was he trying to do? Daodu, who was next to Mu Lianfeng, said softly, "Daddy, Mommy is right. It's delicious. Daodu, peel it for Daddy." With that, Daodu's little hand directly pinched the shell of the lobster's tail. He peeled the meat out, dipped it in the sauce and brought it to Mu Lianfeng's mouth. "Daddy, eat it." When Mu Lianfeng looked at Daodu, his gaze became much gentler. He opened his mouth and ate the lobster that Daodu brought over. Daodu looked at Mu Lianfeng expectantly and asked Mu Lianfeng, "Daddy, how is it? Does it taste good?" Mu Lianfeng chewed it. It was spicy, fresh and very flavorful. "It's delicious," Mu Lianfeng replied, the corners of his mouth rising slightly. "Daddy, if it's delicious, eat more." "Daodu will peel it for you," Daodu said softly. Seeing how considerate and sensible Daodu was, Mu Lianfeng and Zhao Yun were very happy. Who wouldn't like a sensible son? Daodu can eat it. Daddy can peel it himself. "Father, let's let Daodu do it." "You're definitely not as good as Daodu." Daodu insisted. "And there's a lot of oil. Daodu's hands are already dirty. There's no need for Daodu's hands to get dirty." Mu Lianfeng nodded as he looked at Lil P's tender face that was like a porcelain doll. "All right then, let Lil P peel it." His son wanted to be filial to him, so he couldn't not give him a chance. Yeah. As Daodu spoke, she picked up a lot of lobsters and put them into her bowl. Then she started to peel them for Mu Lianfeng. It was much easier for Daodu's small hands to peel the lobster's shell than it was for someone else to do it. Not long after, the meat on the lobster's tail was peeled off again. When he peeled the third lobster, Daodu's hand accidentally slipped, and a few drops of the sauce on the lobster splashed onto Liang Jinshuan's face. Even his originally clean clothes had become somewhat dirty. Liang Jinshuan frowned and his face was full of displeasure. When he saw Daodu, he glared fiercely at Daodu just like before and scolded, "You little bastard, did you do it on purpose?" As soon as he said that, he saw Mu Lianfeng's sharp eyes looking at him with a chill. After being glared at, Liang Jinshuan immediately stuttered. "I was just excited for a moment, so I said this kind of words. I forgot that Zhao Yun'er is now different from before. Wasn't he offending someone by saying that about Daodu?" Zhao Yun'er's face darkened. She was very displeased. "Uncle, Daodu isn't a little bastard. He has a father. Please clarify this now." Zhao Yun'er warned coldly. Liang Jinxiao also hurriedly said, "Big brother, Daodu has a father. It's this." Chapter 782. Liang Jinxiao understood what Zhao Wenhua meant. It was best not to reveal Mu Lianfeng's identity to her two older brothers for the time being. "It's this young master." Liang Jinxiao paused for a moment before saying. Liang Jinshuan looked at Mu Lianfeng and sighed inwardly. This was actually Daodu's father. Who would have thought that Zhao Yun'er was pregnant with this man's child before marriage? This meant that not only was Daodu not a little bastard, but he also had an extraordinary identity. At the very least, he was the young master of a wealthy family. Liang Jinshuan hurriedly said, It was a slip of the tongue. Daodu is a sensible and obedient child. He's really likable. Isn't that so? Daodu, this child is so cute. I'm afraid you won't be able to find a child as good-looking as Daodu within a few dozen miles of this area. Liang Jinhui also hurriedly chimed in. Although they spoke casually, their foreheads were covered in a layer of cold sweat. If they offended Mu Lianfeng, they already knew the consequences. Even if Mu Lianfeng didn't say anything, they would definitely not have a good life. Mu Lianfeng knew that these two people were Zhao Yun'er's first and second uncles. For the sake of Zhao Yun'er's relatives, he didn't want to fall out with them. He only warned them coldly, I don't want to hear this kind of words a second time. Liang Jinshuan and Liang Jinhui hurriedly replied, Yes, we definitely won't. They didn't have the guts to say anything else. Mu Lianfeng's gaze was as if he could eat them up. Zhao Yun'er couldn't help but want to laugh when she saw her two uncles' cowardly expressions. How interesting. After that, the atmosphere at the dining table became a little gloomy. After Mu Lianfeng lost his temper, Liang Jinshuan and Liang Jinhui didn't dare to say a word. They just lowered their heads and ate. The happiest person at the dining table was Daodu. There was a pile of lobster shells on the table in front of him. Other than peeling them for Mu Lianfeng, he also ate a lot for himself. However, because he ate a lot, Daoda's little mouth was covered in grease and dirty. After Daoda finished eating, Zhao Yuner hurriedly took out a handkerchief and gently wiped Daoda's mouth. Mother, Daoda likes to eat lobster. Can you make it for Daoda tomorrow? Daoda looked as if he hadn't had enough. Seeing how the child still felt that it wasn't enough after eating so much, she couldn't help but admire Daoda's battle prowess. How could such a small child eat so much? Zhao Yuner smiled. Of course you can. Tomorrow you and your uncle will go catch more and mother will cook for you. Yeah. Mu Lianfeng also elegantly picked up a handkerchief and wiped his mouth. Even the action of wiping his mouth was unusually elegant. This handsome appearance somewhat blinded Zhao Yuner's eyes. Mu Lianfeng noticed that Zhao Yuner was staring at him intently and raised his good-looking eyebrows. Zhao Yuner's ears turned red and she hurriedly looked away. She was already so old but she was almost hit on. She felt a little embarrassed. Let's go if you're full. Mu Lianfeng's pleasant voice sounded. Zhao Yuner responded. Since she was full, it was time to leave. Her two uncles had her parents, so they didn't need her to serve them. Yeah. As they spoke, the two of them each took one side, holding Daoda's hand and prepared to leave. Big brother, second brother, why don't you guys sit for a while? Rest for a while before leaving? Liang Jinxiao said to Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui. Yeah, then let's rest for a while. Liang Jinshun responded. Liang Jinhui poked Liang Jinshuan's arm as if he had something to say. Chapter 783. Liang Jinxiao hurriedly asked, What's the matter? Big brother? What's the matter? Liang Jinshun cleared his throat and coughed. He said awkwardly, eldest sister, the gift money I gave you just now was a little too little, so I have to make up for it. But I didn't bring that much money today. When your second brother and I go back, we'll send it over when we have time. Being treated like this by Zhao Yuner's family, coupled with the fact that Zhao Yuner's family's current situation was not what it used to be, 20 copper coins would have been fine. But now he felt that if he gave her 20 copper coins, Zhao Yuner's family would definitely remember it. When Liang Jinxiao heard this, he hurriedly waved his hand and said, No need. Big brother, there's no need to go through the trouble of making a trip here. You don't have to send us. Eldest sister. How can we accept this? Pinger's marriage is a big deal. As her uncles, we naturally have to take note of it. Liang Jinxiao sighed and said, Big brother, second brother, it's not that I'm being courteous, but there's really no need for it. If you want to send more money over, you can buy more meat for yourselves and the children at home to nourish their bodies. It's enough that you're sincere. Our family isn't that short of money now. Seeing that Liang Jinxiao had rejected them, Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui were embarrassed to say anything more. After all, they didn't give them money previously. Now that they suddenly gave them money, they felt a little embarrassed. Their eldest sister had rejected them like this again. Hence, they smiled awkwardly and said, All right then. Eldest sister, don't blame us then. Liang Jinxiao pursed his lips and said, How can that be? Big brother, second brother, our family doesn't rely on that little bit of money to live. It would be a lie to say that he didn't have any grudges in his heart. Now that his eldest brother and second brother had given him that little bit of money, he felt that it was meaningless. If they were sincere, they would have taken out so much money when they first came over. She didn't want to be so calculative as long as she knew it in her heart. Anyway, she had no feelings for her family now. Yes. Your family is doing well now. Oh right, my brother-in-law, didn't you say that your family was going to build a house? The last time you came over, you asked me and your second brother to be bricklayers. When are you going to build a house? Let's come over again. Previously, Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui had refused because Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui were afraid that if they really went back and helped their sister-in-law build a house, what would they do if they couldn't afford the wages? His relatives were too embarrassed to ask for money from them. In addition, he felt that since they were relatives, he naturally couldn't treat them unfairly. In short, he had to give them a higher price than the average bricklayer. Zhao Wenhua and Liang Jinxiao looked at each other when they heard what Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui said. He didn't expect the two of them to bring up this matter at this time. Zhao Wenhua had already contacted the masons needed to build the third room, and the price was basically agreed upon. There were only so many people needed for the bricklayer. If Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui came over, it would not be good. This. Zhao Wenhua looked a little conflicted and didn't know how to bring it up. Liang Jinxiao was also a little troubled. Big brother. Second brother, we've already found the bricklayers in our family. We don't need so many people. Liang Jinxiao meant to refuse, but Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui were a little unwilling. Chapter 784. Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui were not willing to give up just like that. If he came over to help, he could get closer to Yang Jinxiao's family. In addition, he could earn some money. Moreover, Zhao Yun'er's food and craftsmanship were much better than his family's. Even if they couldn't earn much money, it was still good to come to Zhao Yun'er's house to eat and drink. Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui were shameless, and Liang Jinxiao didn't know what to say. Naturally, he didn't want his two brothers to come over. They didn't come when he invited them previously, but now they took the initiative to ask for help. Big brother, second brother, I understand what you're saying, but we've already contacted the other bricklayers. We can't fire them now, right? We're all from the same village, so we have to be honest. Liang Jinshun waved his hand. Big sister, it's fine. We didn't ask you to fire them. Your second brother and I will only have 2 more people. With 2 more people, your house should be able to be built faster. That's right, big sister. The earlier you build it, the earlier we can get this over with. Your family can also live in a big house earlier so that you don't have to squeeze your whole family into one room. How can it be more comfortable than living in a big house? Liang Jinhui chimed in from behind. Liang Jinxiao knew what his brothers said made sense. The sooner the house was built, the sooner the family could move out. It was better than living with old Zhao's family. Yun'er's father. Liang Jinxiao's gaze fell on Zhao Wenhua, seeking Zhao Wenhua's opinion. Zhao Wenhua thought about it and nodded. After all, Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui were Zhao Yun'er's uncles. It would be embarrassing to reject them like this. Yun'er's uncles, then the salary. Zhao Wenhua was more worried about the salary. He was afraid that they would raise it too high and their family couldn't afford it. Also, if the other bricklayers knew that the salary was different for the same job, they would definitely have opinions. The salary is easy. It's the same as the other bricklayers, Liang Jinshun said. This way he would not be at a disadvantage and would be able to get Zhao Wenhua to agree. If it was according to what he said before, he was afraid that Zhao Yunlong would refuse. Zhao Wenhua sighed and said, Okay, Yun'er's eldest uncle and second uncle, I'll let you know when the house is built. Good. Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui were overjoyed. When Zhao Yun'er and Mu Lianfeng left the courtyard, they saw Zhao Tianan. He paced back and forth in the courtyard but did not go in. Suddenly she saw Zhao Yun'er come out. She looked at Zhao Yun'er with a guilty conscience. Zhao Yun'er looked at her younger brother. It seemed that he had been standing outside for a long time. Thinking about it, she knew why. Zhao Tianan probably remembered what she said before, so he didn't come back for dinner. She sighed in her heart and asked, Tianan, have you eaten? Zhao Tianan shook his head and was very honest. Ma Xiaofeng didn't ask you to stay for dinner? Zhao Yun'er continued to ask with a hint of sarcasm in her tone. Zhao Tianan's face turned red and he stuttered as he explained, Second sister. I don't eat well at Xiaofeng's house. People will gossip. Then why don't you run to her house every day? Aren't you afraid that people will gossip? Zhao Yun'er asked in return. Second sister, this is different. How is it different? It's okay to send gifts. There's no need to avoid it. Why is there a problem after eating a meal? Chapter 785. Zhao Yun'er thought it was funny, but she also felt a little sad. Seeing Zhao Tianan blushing and not knowing how to explain himself, Zhao Yun'er sighed and said, Since you haven't eaten, you should go back. There are still some dishes left, let mom heat them up for you. Zhao Tianan answered in a cowardly manner. We'll go back first, Zhao Yun'er said, and the two of them continued to walk while holding Daodu's hand. Daodu walked in the middle, holding Zhao Yun'er's hand in one hand and Mu Lianfeng's hand in the other. He swung them back and forth looking very happy. Seeing the happy smile on Daodu's small face, Zhao Yun'er's mouth also slightly evoked a smile. This feeling was really good. However, in contrast to Daodu's happy expression, Mu Lianfeng was. He still looked a little unhappy. This guy, he didn't say anything even though something happened. How would she know the reason if he didn't say anything? After returning home, Daodu began to feel sleepy after eating and drinking to his heart's content. He fell into Zhao Yun'er's arms and fell into a deep sleep not long after. Zhao Yun'er carried Daodu to bed, then covered him with the blanket and let him sleep for a while. After waiting for Daodu to fall asleep, Zhao Yun'er sat on the stool, propped up her chin and asked Mu Lianfeng, Can you tell me why you're unhappy? Mu Lianfeng glanced at Zhao Yun'er, then suddenly waved at Zhao Yun'er. Come here. Zhao Yun'er looked confused. Sit on my lap first, then I'll tell you. Mu Lianfeng said very proudly. Zhao Yuner hesitated for a moment, feeling like a lamb in a tiger's mouth, but she still followed Mu Lianfeng's instructions and sat on Mu Lianfeng's lap. As soon as she sat down, Zhao Yuner was hugged tightly by Mu Lianfeng. Without any warning, Mu Lianfeng suddenly leaned forward and kissed Zhao Yuner's little mouth. Zhao Yuner let out a muffled sound. This guy suddenly kissed her? This time Mu Lianfeng didn't touch Zhao Yuner lightly, but tyrannically he invaded Zhao Yuner's mouth, as if he wanted to swallow her into his stomach. Zhao Yuner couldn't break free at all and could only passively accept it. His kiss had a hint of a wolf's nature. Zhao Yuner was shocked, but she was also puzzled. How could it be like this? After a long time, Zhao Yuner felt that her lips were a little red from being bitten. Only then did Mu Lianfeng let her go. Regaining her freedom, Zhao Yuner took a few deep breaths of fresh air. If Mu Lianfeng didn't let go of her, she would probably suffocate to death. Mu Lianfeng gazed at Zhao Yuner affectionately, which made Zhao Yuner a little flustered. Can you tell me the reason now? Zhao Yuner asked. I'm jealous. Mu Lianfeng's lips opened slightly and spat out these two words. Zhao Yuner was slightly stunned. Jealous? She was wondering why Mu Lianfeng's vinegar smell was so strong. He was really jealous. But who was he jealous of? Mu Lianfeng responded. So, how are you going to make it up to me? No. Zhao Yuner still didn't understand. Why are you jealous? What did I do? Mu Lianfeng shook his head. Yuner, you didn't do anything. It's just that there are too many flowers and plants around you. Zhao Yuner finally understood what Mu Lianfeng meant. Chapter 786. Thinking of Yi Li, Zhao Yuner suddenly remembered that Mu Lianfeng's abnormality started when Zhao Pinger called Mu Lianfeng out for breakfast. That B*Tsich must have said something to Mu Lianfeng again. Zhao Pinger, that B*Tsich, I'll teach her a lesson later. No, I only have one or two. I don't even like them. Why are you jealous? Zhao Yuner asked with a smile. I don't like it when they stare at you, Mu Lianfeng answered honestly. Zhao Yuner couldn't help but laugh. Who doesn't show off to others? Aren't there more women staring at you when you walk on the street? Based on what you said, wouldn't I be even more jealous? Mu Lianfeng looked at Zhao Yuner's smiling face and didn't know how to answer. Do you not like it when they stare at me, or are you afraid that I'll be snatched away? Zhao Yuner asked jokingly. Mu Lianfeng was silent for a moment and didn't answer. Zhao Yuner chuckled and said, Mu Lianfeng, I'm not stupid. I'm afraid it's hard to find a man more outstanding than you in this world, right? Do you think other men can attract me so easily? Are you that unconfident in yourself? Mu Lianfeng felt a lot more at ease after Zhao Yuner said that. Zhao Yuner was right. It was hard to find a man more outstanding than him in this world. So far, Mu Lianfeng had only acknowledged one person in his heart. However, that person's status was too high. He definitely wasn't interested in Zhao Yuner. Mu Lianfeng put down the worry in his heart and said, Yuner, take me with you when you go to sell breakfast tomorrow. I'll go and help me. Zhao Yuner coughed upon hearing Mu Lianfeng's words. You? What are you going to do? You're a young master, don't tell me you have to serve others? One day is enough. I'll help out for a day and see how your stall is doing. I want to know how busy and tired you are every day. Seeing Mu Lianfeng's insistence, Zhao Yuner nodded. Okay then, let's go together tomorrow. Yes. Mu Lianfeng responded and his expression eased a lot. Zhao Yuner asked Mu Lianfeng to continue resting. His body hadn't recovered yet. Mu Lianfeng, on the other hand, went to bed obediently. In the afternoon, Mulan rushed over. Yuner? Seeing that Mulan's face was red and she couldn't stop panting, Zhao Yuner said, Sister-in-law Mulan, don't be anxious. You can talk about it slowly. Mulan stopped in her tracks and heaved a sigh of relief. She said to Zhao Yuner, Yuner, I might not be able to help at the stall tomorrow. What's wrong? Sister-in-law Mulan. Mulan sighed. Yuner, something happened at my maternal home. I have to rush back. I still have to deal with things there tomorrow. He won't have time to help at the stall. Looking at Mulan's expression, it was obvious that something big had happened. Zhao Yuner comforted her. It's okay. Sister-in-law Mulan, you should deal with your own matters first. My mother and I can handle the stall. Mulan sighed, looking a little apologetic. But this sudden incident wasn't what she had expected. Then Yuner, I'll have to trouble you for the next 2 days. Zhao Yuner shook her head. It's okay. Sister-in-law, you don't have to worry about the stall. Haven't you and my mother been busy while I was gone? Okay. I'll deal with it as soon as possible. Chapter 787. Mulan was touched. You're so nice. What kind of courteous words are you saying? Is there a need to be so courteous with our relationship? There's no need to be courteous. We're different from normal people. Yeah. Sister Mulan, you should go back first. It's more important to take care of business. Yes. Mulan nodded heavily and hurriedly ran back. Zhao Yun couldn't help but worry as she watched Mulan run away. It wasn't easy for Mulan's life to get better. She couldn't let anything happen to her again. Zhao Yun frowned and turned to go back into the house. She thought about how Mu Lianfeng had suddenly offered to help out at the stall. Now that they were short of one person, he could make up the numbers. The next morning, Zhao Yun woke Mu Lianfeng up and they all rushed to Yang City. Zhao Ping couldn't help but feel proud when she saw Mu Lianfeng actually making a move. Mu Lianfeng must have listened to her. When they reached Yang City, they would be able to see Yi Li. Naturally, he would believe her. Thinking about how Zhao Yun and Mu Lianfeng might fall out, Zhao Ping was secretly happy. On the way, Liang Jinxiao told Zhao Ling about Liang Jinshan and Liang Jinhui coming over to help them build a house. Zhao Yun was silent for a moment. She had never seen someone so thick-skinned. However, her parents had agreed to it again. Mother, if that's the case, then forget it. It's better for us to finish building the house as soon as possible. Liang Jinxiao nodded. That's right. That's what Mother thinks. With a big house, it'll be easier for Tianan to get a wife. Yes, that's right. It's better for Tianan to start a family early. That way, he wouldn't have to think about that Ma Xiaofeng every day. These 2 days I will discuss with your uncle Yu Kai to let their niece meet our Tianan. Perhaps the 2 children will like each other. Okay, Mother, then you arrange it. Zhao Yun agreed very much. In fact, it was not that there were no good girls, but Zhao Tianan had too little contact with them. Zhao Tianan wouldn't just talk about how good Ma Xiaofeng was after he got to know a few more people. Soon they arrived at Yang City. Zhao Yun's family stall was bustling with activity. Zhao Yun briefly explained to Mu Lianfeng how to do it. Mu Lianfeng got the hang of it very quickly and did not do any worse than them. When they first set up the stall, Yi Li hadn't arrived yet, so the 2 men didn't bump into each other. However, Mu Lianfeng's handsome face attracted many young women. Why is this man so good-looking? Yes, he's so good-looking. Such a good-looking man is actually here to sell breakfast? Look at his clothes and aura. He doesn't look like an ordinary person. He's so good-looking. I also think that this man's status is not ordinary. But why is he here to sell breakfast? I don't know. This stall is so strange. Why are there so many good-looking men here? That's right. I've seen the most good-looking man in Yang City at this stall. Why are you still talking so much? Let's go buy breakfast from him. Let's take a closer look and see how good-looking he is. Okay. Let's go take a look. Thus, several women scrambled to go over to him. Chapter 788. Seeing these women rushing towards Mu Lianfeng, Zhao Yun shook her head. It was really an era where one's looks mattered. Mu Lianfeng was good-looking and well-liked. Even if he sold breakfast, it would be better than the average person. Thinking about it, even if Mu Lianfeng left the Shitzi estate in the future with his looks, he would definitely be able to make a living. Mu Lianfeng looked at the women in front of him and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but twitch a few times. Originally, he came over to take a look at Zhao Yun's peach blossoms. He didn't expect that he would be contaminated by peach blossoms. These women were fighting to be the first to stand, staring at him as if they wanted to swallow him up. Mu Lianfeng couldn't help but frown. In fact, when it came to women, other than Zhao Yun, Mu Lianfeng wasn't interested in any of them. He even hated it when women got close to him. Mu Lianfeng looked at Zhao Yun with hidden bitterness. Zhao Yun shrugged her shoulders, indicating that she was helpless and couldn't do anything. These peach blossoms were attracted by him, it had nothing to do with her. Zhao Yun knew the fighting power of these women. Even if she wanted to come forward and save Mu Lianfeng, it wouldn't be an easy task. Mu Lianfeng, take it slow. You will only get busier. Zhao Yun couldn't help but tease him. Mu Lianfeng's frown deepened, faintly a little worried. Wasn't he courting death, running over here for no reason? Great, now he was being watched by these women as if he was a gorilla. Mu Lianfeng felt that he wasn't having a good time as the hot gazes fell on him. Unfortunately, he couldn't make them not look at him. Mu Lianfeng sighed. Forget it, if he came over he would be busy alone. Zhao Yun would be able to relax a little. Young master, I want a vegetable bun, a shumai, and 10 fried dumplings. The woman walked in front of Mu Lianfeng and said coquettishly. A trace of disgust emerged in Mu Lianfeng's heart. She was a guest, but he had to restrain his temper and follow the woman's instructions. He wrapped the food in butter paper and handed it over. All right, here you are. 10 copper coins in total. All right. The woman handed over the money and touched Mu Lianfeng's hand. The other women behind them hissed. How could they take advantage of her like this? Well then they should also learn from him. Zhao Yuner watched from the side and scolded these people in her heart for being shameless. This was too much. This group of women didn't know how to be reserved. At this time, a very fat woman dressed in luxurious clothes walked over. She said to Mu Lianfeng, Gongzi is such a handsome and extraordinary man. How much money can he make by selling breakfast? How about this, Gongzi, follow me. I'll make sure you eat well and drink spicy food. I'll even give you a salary every month. How about it? The fat woman smiled wretchedly. Her smile was very ambiguous. These words meant that she was keeping Mu Lianfeng as a sugar baby. Zhao Yuner was drinking soy milk. She couldn't hold it in and spat out all the soy milk from her mouth. Was this still an ancient person? Were the women of this era so open? After Mu Lianfeng heard this, his expression changed slightly and his body emitted a cold aura. He glanced at the fat woman and said to her, Auntie, please conduct yourself with dignity. The fat woman saw that Mu Lianfeng actually called her auntie. Was she that old? This gigolo was too much. He didn't know how to appreciate favors. Following behind her was naturally more comfortable than setting up a stall here. Chapter 789. He's so fat and ugly but he still dares to come out. Haha, if I were him, I would be too embarrassed to say it out loud. Exactly. He must be blind to be with such an ugly woman. Does he think he can do whatever he wants because he's rich? Why doesn't he take a look at his own face? If he goes out with this face, he'll scare people to death. I'm not saying that this child has a backbone. If I were the same, I would probably vomit and lose my appetite in front of such a face all day long. No matter how many fragrant and spicy dishes are given, I won't be able to eat them in front of such a face. That's right. Thinking of such an ugly face, I feel disgusted. It's really painful to look at. This child is so handsome. How can he compromise for a little bit of money? Listening to these people talking one after another, the fat woman's face and ears turned red. Zhao Yuner couldn't help laughing out loud. It was really interesting. Thinking about it, the fat woman was really bold. If she knew that she was talking to the child, she would probably be scared out of her wits. The fat woman's face and ears turned red because of these women's words. She glared at them angrily. What are you talking about? Believe it or not, I'll tear your mouths apart if you say one more word. The fat woman was ugly, but she was very fierce when she shouted. Looked very scary. However, the other women were not to be trifled with either. The fat woman's roar caused even more commotion. What kind of person is she? Why don't she tell us? She's always like that. Don't you dare to admit it? Ah, exactly. What kind of person is she? It's disgusting just looking at her. She said she'll tear our mouths apart. Does she really think that we're afraid? Ah, who's afraid? There are so many of us. Do you think we're afraid of her? Let's fight. Let her see how powerful we are. Does she think that we're easy to bully? The women rolled up their sleeves one by one and got ready to fight. Although the fat woman was fierce, no matter how powerful she was, she couldn't fight against so many women at the same time. His brows were knitted together and his face was full of resentment. He cursed these people in his heart. She had money, so what if she was happy to do it? All these years, because she was rich, she had many men. So what if she was ugly? If she gave him money, there would be countless men rushing over, and there was no lack of good-looking ones among them. The reason why she came forward this time was because she felt that Mu Lianfeng was too good-looking, so she came over to ask. It would be better if this man submitted to her, but if he didn't, then forget it. She had only asked a question. She didn't expect these B***cheese to talk about her like that. It was too much. So what if I'm ugly? I've slept with a lot more men than you guys. The fat woman shouted angrily. TSK TSK TSK. She was still so proud of this. Other women slept with many men, so why didn't she come out and show off? Haha, that's right. How can there be such a person? We won't sleep with other men. Isn't it enough to have our own man? Only ugly women are like this. They can't get married. If a man finds out that she's sleeping with someone else, he'll break her legs. Such an ugly woman will definitely not be able to get married. No one would want a man. Haha. Chapter 790. All of a sudden Zhao Yun'er's stall was bustling with noise and excitement. Those women gathered together and blocked the other customers' way. Zhao Yun'er wanted to intervene when she saw those women quarreling and blocking her business. However, she knew that if she said anything, those crazy women would definitely attack her. She was so tired. When women went crazy, they were so scary. They would bite anyone they saw. Of course, Mu Lianfeng played a big role in the chaos in front of her stall. Mu Lianfeng seemed to realize that his arrival had brought trouble to Zhao Yun'er. If he came today, he definitely wouldn't come tomorrow. If he came every day, Zhao Yun'er's business would be closed. Mu Lianfeng's eyes were filled with disgust as he looked at the women who were arguing until their faces were red. If you want to quarrel, go somewhere else. I need to do business here. Mu Lianfeng couldn't stand it anymore and said to those women. His voice was a little cold. The women heard it and were scared to shut their mouths at once. Fat woman, since you've already bought, you should leave now. The rest of us still need to buy. There are still so many people waiting behind us. We still want to buy what you don't want. Go go. The fat woman was urged and walked away. The rest of the women squeezed forward one by one and continued to line up in front of Mu Lianfeng to buy things. Although Mu Lianfeng didn't like those women who squeezed in front of him, at least they stopped quarreling now and could continue to do business. Mu Lianfeng was sadly touched by those women. He was like a tempting prey being stared at by others. He was extremely busy for more than an hour. When it was past 7 p.m., Yili came and greeted Mu Lianfeng face to face. Zhao Ping'er was waiting to watch a good show. She even coughed to remind Mu Lianfeng. Seeing a handsome man coming over and Zhao Yun'er sitting down after greeting him, Mu Lianfeng felt that there was danger in the air. Zhao Ping'er didn't tell him that Yili was the man, but Mu Lianfeng recognized him. This man's appearance was even better than he had imagined. Such a handsome man actually stayed in front of Zhao Yun'er all day long. For him, this man was really a big rival in love. He didn't care about Lu Lei, but this man wasn't an ordinary man in both appearance and temperament. Zhao Yun'er noticed that Mu Lianfeng's gaze fell on Yi Li. Mu Lianfeng, what's wrong? Mu Lianfeng shook his head and moved his gaze away from Yi Li. He'd better not let this man find out that he had ulterior motives towards Zhao Yun'er. If he found out, he would teach him a lesson. Well, don't just stand there. There are still people here. Let's get busy. Zhao Yun'er smiled. Sure. Mu Lianfeng answered absent-mindedly. Seeing Mu Lianfeng like this, Zhao Yun'er had a rough idea of what was going on. This guy had been strange ever since he saw Yi Li. He must have been jealous yesterday because of Yi Li. Zhao Ping'er must have said something to Mu Lianfeng to make Mu Lianfeng misunderstand her relationship with Yi Li. Chapter 791. She really had nothing to do with Yi Li. If Mu Lianfeng didn't believe her, there was nothing she could do. She didn't have any other way to prove her innocence. Women were scary when they were jealous, but men seemed to be scarier. Zhao Yun'er glanced at Mu Lianfeng, then looked at Yi Li. Compared to Mu Lianfeng's uneasiness, Yi Li was much calmer. He merely glanced at Mu Lianfeng and sat down to eat breakfast as usual. There was nothing out of the ordinary. Zhao Ping'er didn't want to see the two men arguing, so she said to Yi Li, "Some people are so pitiful. See it now. Zhao Yun'er already has another man, but you still come here every day to protect Zhao Yun'er." Zhao Ping'er sighed with pity. "You're the only one who's stupid enough to be fooled by Zhao Yun'er. Do you know what kind of person Zhao Yun'er is now?" Yi Li lowered his head and ate quietly. Zhao Ping'er deliberately got close to him and whispered in his ear, which made Yi Li frown with disgust. He didn't like to hear anything bad about Zhao Yun'er, especially those who were trying to sow discord between them. Therefore, he said in a cold voice, "Shut up if you don't want to die." Zhao Ping'er glared at Yi Li angrily. "How can you be like this? I kindly reminded you, but you don't believe me. Zhao Yun'er is such a slut." The more Zhao Ping'er thought about it, the angrier she got. She couldn't figure out how Zhao Yun'er could be so powerful. Even at this point, another man was still protecting her. Yi Li paused for a second and looked at Zhao Ping'er coldly. "Do you want to die? Then I can fulfill your wish." Yi Li then grabbed Zhao Ping'er's neck with one hand. Zhao Ping'er suddenly had difficulty breathing. She used the last of her strength to shout in Mu Lianfeng's direction. "Lord Air, help. Murder." Zhao Ping'er's voice attracted the attention of the other people at the stall. Mu Lianfeng turned around and saw Yi Li grabbing Zhao Ping'er's neck. His eyes were cold and bloodthirsty. Liang Jinxiao said in a hurry, Lord Yi, what are you doing? Can you let Pinger go? Looking at Zhao Pinger's flushed face, Liang Jinxiao's eyes were full of worry. Yi Li glanced at Zhao Yuner, then let go of Zhao Pinger. He didn't forget to warn her, if you talk too much, I won't let you go so easily next time. Zhao Pinger, who regained her freedom, took a few deep breaths of fresh air. This man was simply too ruthless. How could he treat her like this? She was so angry. After Zhao Pinger took a few breaths of relief, there was more resentment in her eyes. Zhao Pinger was naturally unwilling to let this matter go, so she quickly hid behind Mu Lianfeng and said to Mu Lianfeng, Lord Heir, this is the man. I just talked about him and Yun'er's sister, and he treated me like this. Your Highness, you have to uphold justice for me. Wu, Zhao Pinger cried pitifully in front of Mu Lianfeng. She thought that she looked like an apricot flower in the rain, which made people pity her. In fact, she looked very ugly when she cried, even uglier than usual. Just one glance at her made people feel a little nauseous. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.